All right, and welcome everybody to Masks Phoenix Academy. Want to welcome our players. We have Leandro and John and Joe and Blaine, our players tonight. I also want to welcome our viewing audience, whoever that might be, and also want to thank the Gauntlet, who is our kind of organizing community, help us put this together and organize these sorts of games. This is Masks: A New Generation, which is a Powered by the Apocalypse superhero game, which hopefully everyone is at least somewhat familiar with who's maybe watching this. Also want to point out that we have the standard safety tools are in play. We have the X card, of course, and the typical other kind of boundaries, which, if needed, we can discuss. Typically, my approach to this stuff, I have not really run into any kind of issues with this sort of thing, but anything that seems questionable, at least to me, we kind of fade to black. So if there's, some kind of sexual content or any kind of, weird torture stuff or anything, we'll fade to black on that kind of stuff. Again, I don't anticipate any problems with that, but you never know. So any of it, I think the way we'll handle that if it comes up is just X card, either raise your hand or just type it in the chat and just say, hey, whatever, please, ixnay on that. So anyway, so we have that. I also want to set expectations for this session. So we will make characters, some of which have already kind of started. So we'll kind of go through all the motions. And then we will talk about the setting. Actually, we're going to talk about the setting first, then we'll make our characters. And then we will do some, maybe a scene or two, depending on how much time we have left after all that. So, all right. Any initial questions from anybody before I'm gonna start talking about the setting here in a moment. So any questions about the game, expectations, anything else before I move forward? Good. Yeah. All right. Good. You guys hear me? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So this is Masks, a new generation, of course, and we're going to use what's called a play set. This is kind of like a mini setting from the Unbound supplement. It's called Phoenix Academy. And so this is set in Halcyon City, which is the default kind of city for Masks. And we'll still be using Halcyon City, and I'll go into Halcyon City after we talk about Phoenix Academy. But just know this is set in Halcyon City. Pretty much everything from the book is happening in Halcyon City. If you have access to the Masks book, stuff from Halcyon City will be in play, with the exception of stuff that we add or change based on our characters. Phoenix Academy the same way. If you have access to Unbound, I'm not going to go through a very detailed description of Phoenix Academy. We're going to talk about some things that you need to think about as you get started, and then we will fill in gaps as we go along, as things come up during the game. Again, everything that's in the play set in Unbound is considered to be true unless we have come up with something that contradicts or changes it. So if you have Unbound and you want to read more about Phoenix Academy, I recommend doing it. Stuff may come up. So as I said, Phoenix Academy is a play set from Unbound. Unbound has about 6 play sets, I think, in it, and each one of them is kind of a mini campaign setting. So I want to do a shout out to Rob Wieland, who is the creator of Phoenix Academy, credited in the book. What is Phoenix Academy? So Phoenix Academy is a school, a high school for supers. It is located in Halcyon City, as I mentioned, on an island called Academy Island, I believe. It was founded in 1960 by an exiled alien named Argonon 27 and a witch from Halcyon City named Tabitha Ashcroft. The Phoenix Academy in its early days had a lot of trouble with supervillains and things destroying, and probably students destroying the Academy several times. Back then it was known as the Future Academy, and it gained the nickname Phoenix Academy because of the number of times that it kind of came out of the ashes and was rebuilt or whatever, So that's kind of where it got the nickname. It's been around since 1960. I think I mentioned that. So it's been around a long time. It's really only had a couple of different headmasters, though. So pretty steady leadership. Most recently, The current headmaster is named Hellbinder. He was a villain who initially tried to destroy the Phoenix Academy, and kind of turned things around, was convinced to turn things around, and is now the headmaster. So he is, well, your characters would probably know about Hellbinder. You probably don't interact with him a ton, but he is like a warlock, so he like casts spells and stuff like that. So that's the basics of the Phoenix Academy. I wanted to go over a few more things about the setting, which I'm going to crib from the book. So give me just a sec to do that. A couple of considerations for your characters that is specific to being in a school setting. So in Masks in general, the characters are expected to be young, right? Teenagers or maybe very young adults. In this case, it's a little bit more restricted because you're actually in high school and you're in this special high school. Your characters were invited or applied to this school. It's not like you can just say, hey kids, you're going to Phoenix Academy this year. You're kind of like Hogwarts in the sense that you're kind of picked, or like I said, you apply and you get in. So obviously you need superpowers and some sort of sponsorship to get in. So anyway, so in that sense, it's a little bit different than your typical school. Think of it kind of like a private school in that sense. So one of the things that's important about Masks is that you're part of a superhero team, which will still be true in this game. However, there are clubs and cliques in Phoenix Academy that have a bit more structure to them. So there's actually two different types. There's clubs and cliques, and you're going to collectively, the first thing we're going to do as a group is decide which of those you are. They are different things. A club is a team that operates under the official sanction of Phoenix Academy. So a club would have some sort of an official name. You would probably interact with the faculty. They might give you things to do as a team. These are typically a little bit more experienced students. So they probably wouldn't be like freshmen. They'd probably be like juniors and seniors maybe. Then a clique is similar to that. It is an informal super team that does not operate under the official sanction of the school. So you don't have to check with. Well, you don't have to check with people. You probably still should. But if you, if it occurs to you to go do something cool, you kind of just do it and then ask for forgiveness later. So. So the first thing I want to do is have you guys think about or discuss which of those you want to be. Let's start that conversation off, and anybody can start.
I think the school sanctions super team, so the club sounds interesting, but I'm good for whichever one you guys like.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, what sort of club would we all be in? Because just looking at the characters, they're fairly disparate, but...
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, I would say the group composition kind of screams click to me, but we can make either one work.
Yeah, I was sort of thinking that, like, for my character in particular, they'd more fall in line with a clique, but I could also see them in a club as well. It's not like a either or for them.
Same, I guess. I mean, being the star, that's maybe raises questions for the others, like click-wise, where she's like a bratty head cheerleader type character. So,
is that the way you describe your character?
Yes, entirely.
Okay.
I mean, that sort of fits in with mine because my character is just sort of just seeking approval in general. So, if the bratty cheerleader would acknowledge her in regards to relatively benign social niceties, she'd probably just fall into that pattern. Or they'd, I guess. I'm already screwing up.
It's okay. It's okay. So are we going click then? Is that what we're...
Yeah.
I think click is where we're going? Okay. So the examples. So there's some examples in here. I guess I should have mentioned. So the example clubs, just to have it, there's like an honor roll club, like a science club, you know, Amazon Society for like all female or female identifying students. So those are the clubs, and like I said, they're more official. The cliques are like some hackers. There's a band. There's a all-girl punk band that's also a superhero team. There's like a fashion-related one. There's a robot one. So there's different. The cliques are, like I said, more informal. You should probably still have a name, but it's more of a, I don't want to say nickname, but like I said, you're not officially sanctioned by the school.
It's like, are you the jocks or the emos or the whatever?
Yeah, right, exactly. So, so you guys can decide what kind of a clique, and we can discuss that if you want to come up with a cool name for your group. You can do that after we start. I would like to have it before the end of the session, but we have some time to worry about that. So, okay, cool. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is the faculty and staff there. So as I mentioned, the headmaster is a former villain named Hellbinder. The school tends to employ both regular, mundane human instructors and supers. So you're going to have a mix of teachers that are superheroes and sometimes supervillains, who are the supervillains. Interestingly, are serving part of their sentence at the Phoenix Academy. So they're these are like not obviously murderers and crazy stuff like that. These are ones that maybe are like into robbery and general mayhem, but maybe not like going all the way to capital murder and stuff like that. So, but they've been kind of let out under the guidance of the Phoenix Academy to train you guys. So you have the occasional supervillain. More often than not, it's a retired superhero. Maybe a superhero from an older age who's is older and will train you guys. So but I'd say it's probably half and half. So about half of your teachers are just regular folks, and then half of them are have superpowers of some kind. So in addition to that, you will occasionally have heroes or maybe villains that'll come in just for like a seminar or a talk. So that's not a class. It's just like a one-time thing. Like maybe some, really powerful like Centurion or, kind of Superman equivalent will show up and everyone's like, ooh, and they go to the auditorium and you guys have like a little talk or whatever. So that happens as well. So one of the things that I wanted to bring to your attention as part of this, try to cover everything here, is that I have a class schedule for you guys to play with that is on the Character Keeper. So if you go to the last tab on the going to the left, or the right, I'm sorry, there's a class schedule. And you'll see that there's spaces for you guys in here. And so what I would like you to do, you don't have to do it now, but by next time, what I would like you guys to do is actually create a class schedule for yourself. So, and I created a sample one at the bottom so you kind of get an idea of what I'm looking for here. So like the name of the class and then maybe like the teacher. So if it's a super, you put their superhero name. If it's just like a regular guy, maybe you'd put like professor or whatever, or however you want to label it there. I will give you guys some NPCs that are in the Phoenix Academy playset, but you are free to create your own teachers and just say they just exist, whatever they are, right? So that's another opportunity for you to kind of add to our setting, is to create your teachers. I don't know how much interaction we're going to have with your actual classes, but it will give us the sense that you're in a school. So, and I probably forgot to mention this, which I should have led with. When you complete this, your character gets an extra potential. So do it. Anyway, so like I said, do that when you get a chance. Doesn't have to be tonight. Okay. Any questions about any of that so far?
Not so far.
Do you like the bribe? Well, we will, like I said, we will use that stuff. And if there's any NPCs that are in your playbook that you're supposed to create, you can, if it makes sense to do so, like in your backstory or anything else, if it makes sense to also put them in some of those class schedule spots as a teacher, that's fine too. Okay, so I want to continue on with the Phoenix Academy stuff here. So there are some playbook considerations vis-a-vis the playset that I wanted to talk about. So let me go over those real quick. Let me take a look and see which ones apply to our characters. So we have a Nova. Okay. So let's see here. So you are surrounded by powerful heroes who may encourage you to use your powers more than you might if you were on your own, because the school has the ability to better contain the kind of damage that you might do. So if you're just running around on your own, if you're at like a regular high school and you're just on the streets of Halcyon City, you know, blowing up buildings and stuff, that's bad. But Phoenix Academy has a bunch of supers around who can kind of help if you lose control. So, so just keep that in mind. Maybe, you know, you might be a little bit more tempted to unleash your powers or something like that if you're at the school. A couple questions they throw out there. This is just more food for thought. You don't have to answer these, but you know, is there someone at the school who tends to push you to do that? You know, someone who tends to push you to use your powers more or to push the limits of your powers. So, all right, outsiders. So the outsider is interesting. So you are from somewhere else. Like you can be from some other time. You can be from some other planet. You can be from somewhere weird on Earth, like undersea or something like that. So the idea is you're not from this place. So obviously the first decision that you're going to need to make is where you're from and that kind of stuff. But also think about, you know, where is this character? Why is this character in Phoenix Academy? Like, why, you know, are you of the appropriate age? Obviously you should be. But it doesn't have to be chronological age. It could just be maturity. So you could be older or younger than like physically, but it's a maturity thing. Like you're in this school because of your maturity levels around high school level. So think about what that means. Also think about whether you are exiled, like you can't leave for some reason, or whether you're here voluntarily. Maybe you were sent specifically to this academy for some reason. So those are all things to think about with the outsider. Let's see, who else do we have? We have the Star and the Sky. Okay. So Scion. Yeah, so their recommendation here is about using the faculty names in your respect section. So in your playbook, you have a bunch of spots to put NPCs in. So think about if any of those are teachers. I would highly recommend it. We are going to spend a lot of time at the school, but we're not going to be at the school 100% of the time. So, so those are, you know, so you could have NPCs in that section that are not at the school. That's okay. So, and the Star, let's see what they say about the Star. So, I mean, just think about what your fame does while you're in school. Like, does it distract from your studies? Does it make you a celebrity amongst your peers? I imagine it does to a certain extent. Certainly your peers that are in your same kind of age level, I think would probably be the case. Maybe not older students, but so that's something to consider about that. So we do have some faculties, some actual NPCs that we can throw in here. So I'm gonna throw them out. I will also put them in the log that I mentioned. I'm gonna send you guys after we're done. So if you need spellings or reminders of who these people are, you can integrate them into your stories later if you need to. So I mentioned Hellbinder is the the headmaster. The administrator is Selma Schwartz, who is a normal person who is like secretary and stuff. Let's see, the math teacher, Mr. Brick, is a veteran I'm sorry, he's not a superhero. He's a regular guy. His name is Benjamin Brick, which sounds like a superhero, but he's actually he's not, which is interesting. English teacher, Princess Arizella, is definitely an outsider type. She is from Undersea Kingdom. So she's cool. Gym teacher is Sergeant Surge, who was a villain. He fought a group called the Exemplars, which is a kind of like an Avengers sort of group from Halcyon City. He is a robot, and I guess he's your gym teacher, which is kind of cool. By the way, you don't have to use these NPCs if you have a different name you want to use or whatever. That's perfectly fine. There's more than one math teacher. There's more than one gym teacher. So, science teacher Professor Positron is a cybernetic technopath from the future. Woo! But it looks like we have another one, Professor Quantum Blaine added. So that's cool. So again, you don't have to use these NPCs. I'm just throwing them out there because they're in the playbook. History teacher what we got? Niles Berman is looks like a super. Oh, he is descended from some kind of Egyptian stuff. That's kind of cool. He's like Egyptian, some kind of amulet that gives him his powers. So that's kind of cool. So there's some NPCs for you to use if you want. You don't have to, but they're there if you should wish to do so. Any questions about any of the faculty or anything like that?
What was the Egyptian one again?
Oh, that is the history teacher is Niles Berman. He's the mortal aspect of Pharaoh the Eternal, cat, god, queen, ruler of an alternative Egypt.
That might be an interesting relationship with my character because I've got sort of a Middle Eastern mythology thing going on.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay. Yeah, totally. Okay. We could even tweak this to make it more like Mesopotamian or whatever, because yours is like, right, Babylonian or something? Or
yeah, Babylonian or
Babylonian,
just
okay.
like straight up just back when it was just city-states, Uruk or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So again, we can mess around with that stuff if we need to, or just add a go with it. All right. So okay. So a couple more things I want to go over real quick. There is a gossip move that is introduced as part of this playset. Basically, when you are trying to find out about gossip, like school gossip. So this would be just in general, not necessarily about a person, although I guess it could be. But your character is like trying to find out about gossip. There's a move for that. So if we end up needing that for some reason, we have that. That's in the playset. If you have Unbound, you can take a look at that if you want. There is an academic move, which is basically about you taking tests and stuff. And these are not just necessarily like midterms and stuff. They could be tests related to your abilities. So there is a move for that, which we will probably do next session, I'm guessing. So just real quick. So I anticipate that we're going to do this 4 sessions that we have is going to be like a school year. So we're going to be skipping ahead time-wise, most likely at some point. So there'll be like midterms. There's a masquerade, which is like the school dance. There's some cool stuff that we'll hopefully get into. So so the academic move will be part of that, and it basically is just you dealing with some kind of test that you have to take. And probably what we'll all do is reach out to you and say, well, what kind of test would be interesting for your character? So we'll talk about that. Okay, and I mentioned, so the characters should be freshmen, sophomores, or juniors, age 14 to 17 or the equivalent. I don't want any seniors because, like I said, I'm anticipating having this be a school year, and we may, I do want to run this again at some point, and if you guys want to come back and continue your same characters, you can. So if you're a junior now, the next time you play, you'll be a senior. So I want to allow for that opportunity for you, unless you get held back, which is always exciting. But let's assume you don't get held back. So a freshman, junior, senior, and it can be a freshman, sophomore, junior, and you can be a mix of those. So if you, that part doesn't matter. I mentioned the class schedule. Okay, cool. All right. So we have all that down, I think. I did want to also talk about Halcyon City, the setting, before we jump into character creation. So this is a shortened description cribbed from the Masks book. So if you want to read all about about Halcyon City, you may do so, but I'm not going to get into super detail on that. So the city is a very large city in the setting. It has seen 3 generations of supers that have come before you guys. So the Golden Age was kind of the first age of superheroes that were known to the general public. So there were supers obviously before that, but they were secret or hidden, or people assumed they were monsters or whatever. So the golden age, we're talking about like 30s and 40s, typical, like Superman, Batman, Captain America back in the day, that kind of era. Then you had the silver age, which is more of the 60s, 70s maybe, where you have more of a diversified group of heroes. Female heroes were way more common, that sort of thing. I'm talking about comic book wise, but obviously in the population there was already inherent diversity. But the ones that became popular, in the 60s and 70s were more of the previously oppressed social groups. And more of a diversity of powers as well. So in the golden age, it was more about like flying and super strength and cool stuff. Whereas in silver age, you had like mental powers, and you had, these different, trick arrows and cool stuff like that. Bronze age is the more recent age, which is where you started seeing like mutants and, more of the kind of anti-heroes, gray kind of morality sort of heroes. So it kind of morally diversified, so that you had some people, the villains, that became heroes and vice versa. And then the current age is your characters. So that was, turn of the millennium, that sort of thing. So those are generally the generations of superpowered people. The citizens of Halcyon City are accustomed to superheroes and supervillains and stuff being around. So you don't really need to hide the fact that you're a superhero or supervillain per se. The citizenry are used to seeing these things. They're used to seeing super-powered battles happening on the streets of Halcyon City. They're used to seeing weird stuff in the streets, people flying. That stuff is not, it's still very rare, but it doesn't flip them out. Like, they aren't going to lead the 6 o'clock news with, oh my God, this guy was flying through the streets. Like, that's not a big deal. So the things that you might imagine in your backstory, most of those things are going to be, I don't want to say commonplace, but probably not that unusual. So you can still have, obviously, a secret identity. That's perfectly legit and a good idea, especially if you're a young person. But even the older heroes have secret identities for whatever reason. Obviously, the supervillains do, so that's perfectly fine. And one thing I also wanted to mention, too, is that there are comic books, just like in our world. And so the comic books in this setting reflect the actual heroes that exist. So you might have, like, if there's, let's say, the Centurion guy that I mentioned earlier would probably have a comic book. So you wouldn't have, obviously, the comic books we know about, like the licensed heroes, right? So they probably don't have comic books. So maybe they do. I don't know. Anyway, Halcyon City has about 10 million people. So it's a very big city. Obviously, it's on the lines of like a New York or an LA, maybe. I get the sense from reading it that it's more spread out. It's more like an LA in the sense that it's kind of spread out. But it might be more like a Chicago in terms of the actual footprint of it. But has a very diverse population. So you have lots of different types of folks there, which is cool. Want that. There are obviously a lot of adult heroes flying around. There is Aegis. Aegis is kind of a police force that handles super-powered stuff, kind of a military/police force. They will typically step in when there's a problem with a super-powered person, usually villains, but it could be heroes. They can contain superpowers to a certain extent, so they can capture superpowered characters if they need to. So be aware that they're around. Aegis also will sometimes visit Phoenix Academy just to kind of talk about the law and talk about superpowers and the law and how the law handles superpowered characters. So probably the juniors and seniors would start getting classes like that. Obviously, there are also villains around. You can certainly reference adult supervillains in your backstories and anything else where you can fill in a name if you wish. Any questions on any of that so far? Okay, cool. Phoenix Academy, you do occasionally do field trips to Halcyon City. So you will be, in that case, you'll be taken with a group of your peers to somewhere. You might go visit Exemplar Hall or wherever that group is based out of. You might go to some kind of ceremony. Maybe some superheroes retiring and they're having a ceremony. And they want you to go. That kind of stuff. You might just go to a museum. I mean, that's totally possible too. So those things do happen, just like in a regular school. One more thing to consider: if your character's from Halcyon City, which probably are, but obviously the outsider's not, and the other characters don't have to be. But if you are, your parents and your non-super-powered friends are still in Halcyon City. So keep that in mind. So you may go into the city for some other reason, So that's all I really have for Halcyon City. I'm not anticipating fleshing out a ton of that stuff just because I don't know how much time you're going to spend there. But obviously, if we do, then that's cool. Again, if you have access to the book, the main book, it does talk about Halcyon City quite a bit, and we will be referencing that. And if you want to read up on it, please do. We will make use of whatever material we can. And anything that you introduce as players that's different, we will use your version. So don't worry about contradicting anything that's in the book.
Quick question.
Yes, please. Yes.
So is this like a dormitory school situation, or are we commuting?
No, you live there.
Okay.
Yeah, there are definitely dorms. You guys can decide what your living situation is. You will be bunking with at least one other person. I'm envisioning, and we can decide how this works, but I'm envisioning probably 2 people to a room, so that you do have some interaction with a roommate. If you guys decide you want to have 4 people to a room, then that would, and all of you in the same room, that's perfectly fine if you want. Or you can split it up, or you guys can be in completely separate rooms with NPC roommates. However you guys decide you want to do that. All right. Any other questions about the setting before we jump into character creation? Okay. All right. So what I want to do now is I'm going to introduce the players, and we'll talk about what playbooks you've chosen and why. Why? Very important why. So let's start with Leandro. So Leandro, you have chosen the Nova. So why don't you tell us about why you chose the Nova?
Well, from the way I was thinking, because I came into this, I signed up this game quite late, like maybe just a couple hours ago. So my thinking was, you know what, I'll pick one of the core ones to make it so it wouldn't be as, I don't know, as mechanically dense, because we already have 2 limited edition ones. So that's like the most prosaic way of my thinking. Is like, okay, Nova's to its core fairly simple. And I think I mentioned this off broadcast, I've run Mask more than I played it, so I was fine taking whatever. But so the Nova just came to me. It's like, all right, it'll be simple, and it's a fairly straightforward story to tell.
Okay. Yeah, I think the good thing about the Nova is it is pretty straightforward. Your abilities are pretty straightforward. You do have a resource that you have to manage your burn, but other than that, it's pretty cool. Okay. And then let's introduce Blaine. You are playing the Scion.
Yep.
Why don't you tell us about the Scion? Why did you pick the Scion?
So I picked the Scion because it's just the idea of the character is something that I'm into just in story terms. I think the idea of, the child rebelling against the parent is just innately interesting.
Okay. Cool. Okay.
So we've got the Scion as being, the child of the villain that's turning away from that life.
Okay. And I did mention before the broadcast that I love the Scion as a GM because it gives you the opportunity as the player to create a bunch of NPC, at least names. So I'll use some of those when I get a chance. Okay, great. And then Joe, let's talk about why did you pick the star?
All right, so I had this idea of the star once, like reading about it. It's got the move Cold and Cruel. So basically, I'm like, I think I want to play Regina George as a superhero.
Okay.
So
Mean Girls, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like the bratty head cheerleader type, but like she still wants to be a hero, but does she want to be a hero for the right reasons? And I want to explore that in a superhero in a high school setting.
And so, how much of the fame aspect of the star are you interested in pursuing in this game?
Oh, I mean, right now that is her main drive. So,
Okay.
like, she is all of it. She loves her fans, and her fans love her.
Cool. Okay, and we'll talk about all that when we get into the actual meat of this thing. Okay, cool. And then John, you've got the Outsider. So why don't you tell us why you chose the Outsider?
I chose the Outsider because I just think it's a really interesting playbook to have that kind of separation from the world, and it's a good way to find something that can give a very different point of view. And most of the mask games I've played in before, somebody else has jumped on the Outsider like immediately. So
Okay.
I wanted an opportunity to.
Sure. Okay, cool. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go through. You guys have all pretty much made a lot of the decisions already for your characters, which is great. So we're going to go through what those decisions are. So I'm going to give everybody a chance to talk about their character and the choices that you made in the character creation process. So we're going to go kind of in reverse order of how we started. So John, you're up again. Lucky you. So why don't you give us your character's name and look. Tell us about the abilities that you have for your character and your moves, what moves you picked, and then your labels.
Okay, so my character is a Cluster, and his look is that he looks like a pile of gems that are all together, like in his natural state. He can kind of shapeshift it around to kind of take a human look if he really wants to, like this human shape, but it's usually it looks just like a walking, like still a geode, pretty much.
Okay.
And blah blah blah. His powers are that he can shapeshift and has alien weaponry. And he comes from a world where there isn't any individuality. It's everyone's part of a collective hive mind.
Okay.
So through some kind of accident, he was separated from it and finds himself on Earth.
Okay. Okay. So tell us about the moves that you selected.
Okay. The moves I picked were alien tech, because he can kind of what he can do with his crystals and with his shape changing is he can connect with different things and make different things. And then I picked Kirby Craft, and I'm still kind of thinking about what that would be.
Okay, yeah, it looks like there's some choices involved there. So yeah,
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, and then what choices did you make with your labels?
With my labels, the only thing that I changed is I took the Freak up an extra one.
Okay, cool. Is there a particular reason you picked Freak? Is it because of your alien tech move?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's go to Joe. So Joe, tell us about your character. Give us your name, your looks, your abilities, your move selection, and your labels.
All right. Her hero name is Sable Tigressa. Her real name is Courtney Rodriguez. Her abilities are like, and she keeps this a secret. Like, she just presents herself as a constant tiger person, but like she can shift back and forth. And I'm inspired by She-Hulk in that regards. Like, why would I be Courtney Rodriguez when I can be Sable Tigressa? So,
okay, cool.
I don't want anyone to know that like I'm, I was playing Jane and now I became this way cooler thing. So,
okay.
Move wise, I took Cold and Cruel. So like when I like shut people down, I can really, bite them with my stinging words. And stage fighting, so lets me mark and condition when fighting in front of an audience. I get to mark condition to roll superior instead of danger.
Okay.
And, I raised my superior to 3. So because she thinks she's the HCIC head cat in charge.
Oh, stop. Is there a space for you guys to put your abilities in here? I don't see that. Am I missing
No, we just
That's
seem to put them
kinda-
in our extras. So
Yeah, that's weird. Okay. So you can turn into Tiger Person,
yeah,
and then is that it?
yeah, like she's just,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
like I know like the playbook recommends all these flashy powers, but I'm like, nah, I'm seeing it more of like she was the star because she's like playing up the celebrity.
Okay,
Like
and she's
the
got
power.
claws and stuff. So
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Okay.
claws. You know,
Kind of like
enhanced
Tigra.
speed, strength. Yeah, and that's and also whose art I stole. So
Oh, you did?
yeah, from Avengers Academy, the mobile game.
Oh, okay. Because that's the Tiger I'm used to is the one from like the 80s. Would look way
Yeah,
different than that.
Yeah. Well, this is literally all of the Avengers in a high school. So
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Okay. Yeah, if you guys want to borrow art from anywhere, don't go ahead and do it because this isn't a, I mean, just do whatever you want for the art. This isn't something we're selling, so do whatever you want with it. Okay, cool. Okay, and labels. You talked about your labels.
yeah, I increased my superior to
Okay.
max it, so she can really boss people around.
Cool. Okay, great. All right, let's move over to Blaine. Blaine, you have the science. Why don't you tell us about your name, look, abilities, move selection, and labels?
Okay, I am playing Mordecai Taram, who goes by Kai. Their superhero name is Enki, which is the name of a Mesopotamian god. So obviously there's a little bit of a theme going on there. I think Mordecai is trying to get in touch with their heritage a bit, and also a little bit poking fun at her dad, who is core to the Scion book. Her dad took the villain name of a Mediterranean god. They took the name of a god that killed their father in the Mesopotamian mythology. So there's definitely some byplay going on there.
Okay. Do you know which god it is?
Yes, Enki killed Anu, which and then Anu is their father's villain name. So it was very, very pointed of a name choice.
I was kind of hoping it'd be Tiamat, but that's okay.
No, Tiamat is it's actually a goddess. But
all right. Anyway, all right, cool.
Would not have been a bad choice, but didn't fall to that particular hierarchy.
Maybe there will be a Tiamat in this story.
Very well could be. Maybe that's the history teacher.
All right. So what abilities do you have?
For the abilities, for the moves, I took changed sides. When you mislead or trick an enemy, you pretend to be on their side. So I can sort of get on that, and if I miss, things go terribly bad. Or I take I'll show them, where I get influence on somebody if I defend somebody that doesn't believe in me, even on a miss.
Okay.
I think you were probably talking more about like the abilities, the superpowers.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's actually a little bit tied into my dad a bit.
Yeah.
So let's see, where is that? I have this on here somewhere. I need to find out where it. Sorry, I'm scrolling through the character keeper a little bit here. Trying to find.
Well, it's in the extra section is where you have it here.
Yeah, that's okay. I see it.
Yeah.
Right. So, for what kind of villain my parent is, they are a cruel mastermind. My relationship with them is ever shifting and full of denial.
Okay.
They have, for abilities, dark sorcery, cosmic might, and an arsenal of weapons and gadgets. Something that's going to take more of an esoteric sense, like magic items, rather than technology.
Sure.
What abilities I use that I get from them is I have a magical aptitude and I have a powerful weapon or gadget. We can discuss whether this is viable or not, but the gadget weapon I have in mind is called the Hammer of Eden. It's basically a staff with a hammer on the head, and it controls the elements.
Okay, sure. That's fine. If that's what you want.
Yeah. Aside from that,
one thing, real quick. Sorry, I want to point out. So those maybe that aren't super familiar with masks, the powers are not a huge part of the mechanics of the game. It's more of a fictional justification for things you're trying to do in the game. So that's why I'm kind of being a little like, cool, do it with the powers, because that's kind of how it works in the game. Mm-hmm. So anyway, go ahead, continue.
Yep. Aside from that, I have some characters that I need to earn their respect, which is part of the same sort of section in the playbook.
We're going to do that next, so hang on to that.
Cool. So I'll hang on to that then.
And your labels.
For my labels, I bumped Freak up one.
Okay. Are those the way they start? Because those numbers look weird to me.
They looked weird to me too, but them's the breaks.
That's what they got. All right.
Yep. Danger +1, Savior +1, and then I bumped Freak up +1.
Okay.
Everything else 0.
Where did I put? Did I not have those out? Did I open the same one twice? Okay. Cool. Just looking at some stuff here. Oh, that's the GM sheet. That's why.
And then just as far as the artwork picture I took down the bottom, that's more of inspiration for outfit than anything else.
Okay.
I do not have a brilliant, bushy Middle Eastern beard.
Okay.
As a 14-year-old super.
Yeah, I was wondering about how that was working. All right, cool.
I'm thinking I'm probably going to try and draw my character over the weekend and hopefully have some self-made art for it. We'll see if that actually happens.
There is, if you're familiar with the old deities and demigods from D&D, like the first edition one has a bunch of illustrations of those deities. You might take a look at that and see if there's any that are useful to you.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it, but like I kind of like the aesthetic of this thing, and just keeping in mind like the Middle Eastern, just iconography.
Okay. I forgot. I was going to open up playbooks and I forgot to do that. Okay. Let's see. Unbound, I think. We don't have anybody from Halcyon City playbooks, do we? I don't think so.
The Stars from Halcyon City.
Oh, the Star is? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I just want to have the playbooks open. Okay, cool. All right. Last one. Leandro, you are now up. So tell us about your Nova. Name, look, abilities, move selection, and labels.
Cool. So my character's real name is Madeline March. Her hero name is Latria, which is a theological term used in Roman Catholic theology to mean adoration, reverence directed only to the Holy Trinity. It's kind of a mocking thing she's picked up in terms of her backstory, which we'll get to later. Basically, she was part of a religious family, and she's not happy with it. She's female, South Asian, just normal skin, and she usually wears formal clothing. She's kind of she's not loose in any sense. She's a bit of an honor student, so to speak. Very concerned with keeping herself controlled, possibly because probably because of the power she had. And her costume is more like a uniform, really. Basically, her abilities are telekinesis and telepathy, playing in that old Jean Grey style kind of Nova, because I kind of wanted to try out like a Nova that wasn't shooting laser beams all over the place.
Okay, cool. And then your labels? Oh, your move selection too.
Yeah, so Nova gets burns, which is they have to charge up before they can use any of these burns. So the ones I picked up is Reality Storm. I can channel Destructive Burst with my powers, so I can engage a threat using Freak instead of Danger. The rest of the ones are more like manipulating other people. Like there's Elemental Awareness, so I can spend a burn, mark condition to open up my mind around the world so I can perceive things. That's all telepathy thing. And ask a question, you GM will have to answer honestly. I have Boost, which I can supercharge a teammate's efforts with my powers. So I give them a +1 bonus. So if I spend a team. And I have Worship, which is I can put on a tremendous display of might and I can awe an audience in silence, respect, and attention. And unleash my powers. So that's fun.
Okay, cool.
And label-wise, I think I bumped up Superior, mainly because she kind of wants to think herself as a smart person.
Okay, cool. All right, good. So that is all of our characters. So I want anybody that has extras. So extras being, I think several of you have extras. So let's go over that. Let's talk about Joe. Let's talk about Sable's celebrity stuff.
Totally. So why does my audience love me? By default, my audience is a limited group of interested fans, and I speak to them through after-action interviews and infrequent press conferences. Why does my audience love me? Mark all that I applied stunning, unique, and beautiful, charming, well-spoken, and smart, and I'm just like them.
All right.
I've got 2 advantages. They are utterly devoted to me, and I earn a lot of money from their interest.
Okay. So let's stop there for a second. So these are people that are they your same age group?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, around my age group. There's probably, some older than probably like I would say the golden generation of like the heroes in Halcyon City. Probably not so much. Uh, like, because she's very much like an Instagram type star thing.
Okay.
Except, I don't actually know much about that, so kind of brattier probably in private, but
yeah. So is that how you mainly communicate with your fans? Like, do you have like a live interaction with them at all?
Oh yeah, totally. She's very social media savvy, but she's got time for meet and greets and stuff.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So continue. Sorry.
And then they have two demands that my audience, makes on me. They require frequent bouts of drama and chemistry with my allies.
Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. And what else? Looks like there's a couple more things on here. There's a move related to them.
Just two moves, like when I accept what they tell me about myself and when I seek help from them.
Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. Excellent. And then it looks like our Scion also has some stuff. So your extra, we did talk about you being the child of a supervillain. We talked about that. So this next section that we kind of skipped over for the moment was about these other characters that you need to earn respect from. So let's talk about those. Looks like you have a few filled in. So let's talk about those.
Sorry, I was muted. So the first one is my parents' greatest enemy, which is Quantum, who now teaches at the school. So I think probably my father is a bit older, and this Quantum is a bit older, and it's sort of getting out of the hero game, or maybe he's just like moonlighting at the school and just using his civilian identity. Who knows?
Okay.
But so Quantum is a tech-based superhero, which is very much like the antithesis to like myself and my father, who are more magic-based or like mythology-based.
Okay.
So that's part of where their rivalry sprung up a lot of the time. There's that, and then I also have my personal idol, Night Lily, who also shows up in my backstory as she's sort of the person that clued me into that maybe my father's not a great guy. Probably a time when I was like out in the city with my dad, and then he went into some supervillain stuff, and the consequences blew back. And Night Lily was the superhero on scene, and she sort of saved me from the like backlash or collateral damage of my father's actions, and probably said something offhand that would have been true, but she happened to be saying it to the child of a supervillain, and so that sort of made her into my idol over time.
Okay. What are your interactions with Night Lily like now that you're at the school?
I haven't decided yet. I was thinking about maybe making her a teacher now because, like I said, my dad's older now, so he's retired, so maybe she is too, and taking it to school.
She could teach science or botany or
biology.
And that stuff is legit, yeah. So, okay. Cool. All right, and you got one more, looks like, filled in maybe?
Yeah, one more is like the city's greatest leader, who is a somewhat nebulous superpower as far as ethics goes. His superpower is power word command, so he can say like one word and people have to follow it.
Okay. That's kind of neat. All right.
I don't super have a relation with him. He's just sort of like, he's a great leader type thing.
Why does your character want respect from that overlord?
I think it's more of just like a general desire for recognizance that Kai is feeling like now that I'm sort of discovering who I am and that I'm not my father and I don't want to be my father, and maybe I don't even want to be a he because although biologically male, and Kai is sort of dealing with some of that those questions as they're entering puberty.
Sure.
So like I think it's just like a general desire for recognizance, and they're a figure that's very public and very recognizable.
Okay, cool. All right. And then you can fill in the rest of these as we go. So even like between sessions, if something occurs to you, that'd be cool. You can certainly add that, or we can fill those in as things happen during the game. You can even, if you guys run into an NPC that makes sense for one of those slots, go ahead and throw that in there. That's perfectly cool. I will try. One of the challenges is using those without making it like the whole game. So I will use at least a few of those, I promise. So
actually, I do have a question for the star on that front. Is like, do they have any thoughts as for who the city's biggest celebrity is?
well, I know the answer to this.
Aside from herself?
Yeah, aside from herself.
Maybe an adult who's
I don't know. I'm gonna say like I'll think about that.
Yeah, think about it.
It could be Sable.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, it's more fun if it's like somebody else.
All right.
Because I think these are specifically about creating NPCs. So
Yeah, I know. But...
I think that was just an interesting one for the star to have input on.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can think about it. Maybe you'll run into them while we're playing.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. Okay. So the next part is we're going to go over the backstory questions. So I'm going to go through each of the playbooks, and you may already have answered some of these, and that's fine. If you haven't, this gives you an opportunity to think about them. And I'm going to ask you guys to put the answers in the character keeper. As succinctly as you can. I'm not expecting, obviously, a lot of text here, but just a brief answer is fine. So I will go through them. Again, we're going to loop around back from where we stopped with the last section. So that would be Leandro. So Leandro, you have the Nova. So let me pull up the Nova. And, okay. So are you ready?
Yep.
All right. When did you first use your powers?
It's probably around 10. I started them around 10. I suggested my babysitter to let me out of the house and out of her sight, and she got, well, the thing is, she probably should have got more shit for it, but my parents were like, oh wow, she can do telepathy stuff, maybe we can use this, so.
All right. Cool. Okay. Are you still in touch with this person at all? Like, you're obviously don't need a babysitter anymore, but do you have younger siblings maybe that still, or did they just like freak out and run away?
No, I'm an only child.
Okay. Cool. All right. Who was the first person you accidentally hurt with your powers?
I have read it. I convinced someone. I'm gonna give them a name. I think they should be a bit more specific. I convinced this person who I think is kind of I think they're an old family friend who's kind of well off. I convinced them to keep donating to my parents' church, because they're in their own church. When I convinced them to the point to keep donating to the point of bankruptcy, and when they just kept coming, even though they were. He had given us all his money because I told them to. I tried to make them go away, but I didn't know how to stop with the telepathy, so instead I hurled him away, and it kind of broke his back in the process.
Okay. Are you still in touch with them, or are they still a friend of the family, or what happened?
I think I'm still in touch with them, but it's not here covering the backstory questions, but that was the point, because I think that was a few years after I developed my telepathy, and my parents are telling me to convince people to come to their church. That's the point where after I broke him, he's an uncle. I've just decided right now.
Okay.
That's when I ran off. I keep in contact with him, but I'd broken up contact with my parents. That's when I ran off and decided to try and atone for all that.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. All right, cool. Well, maybe we'll delve into that some more too. All right. Are they in Halcyon City?
Yes. Yeah, I think I've lived in Halcyon City.
Okay. All right. Who outside the team helps you control your powers?
They're a childhood friend. Well, actually, no, they're not a childhood friend. They're someone I met after I ran away. She's a very streetwise person. Her name is Helena Schultz, but her super name is Aria. She kind of helped me out in terms of learning to be a superhero when I ran away from my parents. She has like sonic control over her voice.
Okay.
I think, however, I got picked up to go to Phoenix Academy and we'll figure out a way. I think she was kind of already a student and like during off term.
Okay, so like an older student maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, like maybe a senior this year.
Yeah, I think she used to be able to not speak because whenever she spoke, it would emit a sonic blast. but she managed to get control over that over the years.
Very cool. Okay, that's great because that's actually a really good example for your character because your Nova is struggling with that. So that's great. Okay, cool. All right. Last two. Why do you continue to use your powers?
Because I need to make up for what I've done. I helped my parents con a lot of people out of their lives to giving it to them, and kind of it's hard to get rid of that sort of telepathic suggestion. So I need to learn to better control my power so I can stop all that. So that's basically why I keep using it, because I need to undo.
All right, cool. Last question. Why do you care about the team?
Oh, God. I think in many ways we're all, well, I guess in the most basic sense, we're all kind of similar in terms of a lot of teenagers struggling under pressure. Even Sable, she has a lot of pressure on her, and she says she's controlling it, but like, everyone here, like, Cluster's not from here. Enki has a evil dad to take care of it. I think I kind of feel kinship around them. It's like, even though we're all kind of wildly different, I get the feeling we're all wildly different. Well, deep down, we're all dealing with the same problems.
Okay, great. And then I'm going to move on to Blaine. I'm sorry, we'll start calling you Inky at some point. Scion. So let's talk about the Scion. So let's go over your questions. We talked about who your superhero parent is. That's Anu, is that right?
Yep, Anu.
Okay. Who told you about your parent's true nature?
We also sort of discussed that briefly. That was Night Lily.
Okay.
That was like that scene where, like I said, Kai was sort of left by the wayside while my dad was doing villainy, and Night Lily saved me from the collateral.
Did you already suspect that there was something odd about Anu, or was this a complete revelation?
I think there might have been some just niggling thoughts about it, but I don't think I think this happened fairly young.
Okay.
I'm thinking I was 7 or 8 years old when this event happened.
So you didn't have a ton of exposure to the outside world anyway, so you wouldn't have necessarily. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you turn from your lineage to become a hero?
I think that central event in my youth, and then just I started becoming old enough to start asking harder questions, why are we moving around all the time, and all these other things that come up with we're a supervillain family. So just starting to ask those questions and not getting satisfying answers is what turns me to that.
Okay. Did you have example? I know we have a couple of NPCs in your thing, but are there other examples of heroes that your character has seen maybe that helped kind of shape you going in that direction?
I think there probably were. I don't have them solidified enough to put them into the thing, but I think it wasn't just I think Night Lily was the main one, but I think there were others.
Okay. Who outside of the team helps you on your chosen path? Is that?
I think with I have right now. I have it as a Night Lily. I'm open to adding others to that. But I do think as my personal idol, Night Lily is filling a lot of these blanks at the moment.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. We can, like I said, these things can also change. I mean, certainly things like, oh, this new NPC came along and I think they're cool and I want to talk to them. So we can we have spaces to do that. So, all right. Last question. Why do you care about the team?
Basically, I've come to the point where Enki or Kai is yearning for affection and human connection that isn't mired in her father's narcissism and manipulation, which is really all they've had contact with so far, because the mother's not really in the picture.
May I ask you a kind of a related question? How's your character feel about discipline? You were the child of a supervillain, so were you disciplined as a child, and how does that differ from the discipline you get at school?
I think it was more just the complete lack of discipline that defined the relationship with my father, more than I don't think I was beaten or abused or anything like that. I think it's more just a daddy didn't care type situation.
How does your character then deal with the discipline that you have to like to go to class and rules and
Probably badly.
Okay. All right.
It's definitely like a new sort of thing for them.
Something to think about as you roleplay your character. So cool. Okay. Let's go to our star. This is Sable Tigressa. When did you first appear on screen?
Yeah, about 3 years ago, she showed up to help another group of teens stop a bank robbery. She was the first to talk to the press afterwards. So she sort of like stole the glory from them.
Okay. That's pretty cool. So, how old do you think Sable is?
Oh, she's a junior.
She's a junior. Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay. What do you tell people about how you got your powers?
I was just lucky enough to be born this way.
Okay.
Which is not true.
Is that true?
No, not at all. Not at all.
So how does she get her powers? That's a good question.
Yeah, I didn't think about I think she basically went like power seeking. Like she went to try to get powers and probably some magical thing happened. That's what I'm going with, magic.
Okay. So here's a good question that kind of dovetails with that. Are all of the people in this setting, all the famous people in this setting have powers?
Oh, I'm sure there's like famous non-powered people.
Yeah. But do you think like
but in Hascon City, I feel
like yeah, but I'm saying like does it lift you above like just some actor or just
that's what she thinks.
So. Yeah. Oh, that's what right. Okay.
Plus like in her normal form, she's like, I'm not gonna this is but a Sable Tigressa. The name that, she's got way higher chance of.
Does her audience know that she has Courtney Rodriguez?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Who outside of the team supports your burgeoning star in every way possible?
Yeah, she's got like a friend on the cheerleading team at Phoenix Academy. All I have right now is a first name Allie because I couldn't think of the last name. I don't have any idea what her powers are or her abilities are.
Okay.
Maybe she's just like a non-powered, just wants to be a superhero type person, like through dedication and training.
Like a beacon, sort of.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, everybody here has some kind of power. Now, it could be a very minor power. It could be a stupid power, but she's got something. We'll determine what that is. Maybe it's a really lame power that Sable can kind of hold over her because Sable has some cool powers. So maybe that's interesting. So okay, that's cool. Okay. Who outside of the team loathes what you represent?
Okay, yeah, one of her teachers / instructors, the White Owl. She sees her as just this fame-hungry little brat. Then, like, if she doesn't like concentrate and, like actually like start to pay attention and care more, she's just gonna get herself killed or something.
Okay, all right, and it's one of your instructors.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What does the White Owl teach?
Superhero ethics.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah. I was gonna, I don't know if I mentioned that, but I think as you get further along, like as a junior or senior, you start getting classes like that. Like that's a totally legit thing that a junior or senior would take, whereas a freshman, sophomore probably not. I mean, you can. I'm not going to shirk what kind of classes you take, honestly, but I think at some point the school curriculum would transition into more of that kind of stuff. So, cool. Okay. Last question. Why do you care about the team?
Yeah, despite her fame and popularity, they seem to be her best chance to actually connect with those she always wanted to be. And she knows that, like, she cannot do this alone. Like, otherwise she would have stopped the bank robbery by herself.
Right.
But yeah, she's like, this is great, but she's not so egotistical to think she can do this all on her own.
Yeah. And
so that has changed because she's a teenager and emotions.
Yep. And also, one of the requirements or whatever on your with your fans is that they want you to be on a team, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
They require drama and chemistry.
Yeah, we can get both from the team, actually. One thing I also wanted to point out real quick for everybody: there's a tab that says NPCs and stuff on here. If you want to, you can add your NPCs on that tab. Go crazy with it. I will, like I said, I'm gonna go back through this recording and log everything that seems interesting and put it in a document so you guys can see it between sessions. So you can always come back, and if I misspelled something, just let me know. So, but anyway, just wanted to point that out. Okay, back to Cluster, who is our outsider. So where did I put the outsider? What's that? Oh, here's the outsider. Okay. All right. So, where do you come from?
It's from a planet that's in a far off galaxy. But they just call it the Alanar because that's who the people are.
Oh, right, because it's like a hive mind sort of a deal. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Why did you come to Earth?
It was an accident. I was looking for. I think you said there was one of the somebody that's part of the faculty. I thought you said there was one like Professor Quantum or something like that.
There is a Professor Quantum who was introduced by way of Enki, I believe, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so one of the NPCs, but yeah, totally, there is one, yeah.
Okay, so he was trying to do a experiment with communications, and it actually accidentally brought me to Earth.
Okay. Okay. Why do you want to stay here for now, at least?
Because being separated from the collective has let me actually think for myself.
Okay. Why do your people want you to come home, or do they?
They do because they want. There's. I don't know if they would like consciously want me to return, but there is kind of the effect of there's some part of the memory missing, so it should be back.
Okay. So before I ask the last question, so since you are not from Earth, obviously, there's going to be a lot of things where you're trying to get used to things or trying to fit in and stuff like that. I mean, that's part and parcel with this playbook. But my question, because we're in a school, so is your character, is there a maturity level that makes sense for you to be at a school? Like, how does that work with your kind of a hive mind situation?
Yeah, so because of the separation, he kind of, I was thinking probably one of the lower grades, like freshman, sophomore, because he has knowledge of things, but not of interacting, and it's much more of a socialization thing than he has to learn these facts and figures.
Right, gotcha. Okay. So, how long do you think that Cluster has been on Earth?
Probably, let's say, I'd say no more than a year or two. So let's say like a year and a half.
Okay. And what grade level do you want him to be? Like freshman or?
Freshman.
Okay. Cool. All right. And then the last question, as usual, why do you care about the team?
They. I was thinking if anybody thinks it's appropriate for their character that they gave Cluster his name, and so he has a tie to that individual. And overall, because it's different experiences, different people to be around, and they ask him like questions instead of most people, even as a teenager, most people, like, you're instructed to do things a lot of the time. You're not asked what you want to do a lot of the time. So just asking his opinion makes them very highly regarded. Okay,
cool. All right. So we've gone through a lot of this stuff. I think what we're going to do now is probably take a break. So we're going to go through the rest of the stuff. We have relationships, which are pretty quick. We've already talked about the specific playbook considerations, so we can skip that. There's a couple things about the faculty. There's a couple of questions that we're going to go over that are in the play set. And then we're going to do the when the team first got together stuff. So let's take a break, and we're getting close to being done with this part, which is great. So let's 10 minutes. That seem reasonable? 5 minutes? Which one? What would you guys rather do? 5 minutes?
I'm good. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we'll call it 8:30 as of right now, and we'll see you guys in a bit. All right, I'm back. I don't know if anyone else is back, but I'm back. All right, cool. So one thing I mentioned in the chat, of course, over here, just make sure that anything that you guys talk about in here that's we want to keep goes into the character keeper, because this chat will go away as soon as we're done. So make sure that we're good there. All right, so I guess we're waiting for the other two to come back here. I did want to promote. So I mentioned earlier before we started the broadcast that I'm a veteran PBTA GM. I'm also a creator of a PBTA game. It's a science fiction game called Infinite Galaxies, which is my shirt that I'm wearing. I probably can't see it too good. It's probably backwards, but anyway, this book is coming out in about a month or maybe 2 months. We'll see how long it takes to get all the art that we need. But anyway, so feel free to check that out. When you get a chance, you can download all the play materials at infiniteGalaxies.net. There's my plug for the day. Yeah, so once we get John back, we will go to the next part of this. I'm going to do relationships. We're talking about some faculty questions, and then we will do when the team first got together, and then we're done with character creation, which is cool. For you folks who have played Masks quite a few times or run it quite a few times, what is your experience with the team pool? So I've played in 4 games, none of which that ever got used for anything. So I don't have any experience with it. So is it something that tends to get like skipped or forgotten about, or
It shouldn't. It's
Yeah.
very important.
I know.
Yeah. If the players aren't like interacting with it, that's really just on them. But like I mean, because I've played it so much, I often remind them like, should we do the team pool thing? It seems
Yeah.
like we're going into a battle, so
Okay.
because it's very useful for us as players to not totally ruin the day.
And that's the way that you aid the other characters, right? Like that's essentially, there's no aid move. You basically spend. Okay. Yeah, I read up on it today. I want to make sure because, like I said, I've played 4 times and it's never been used for anything. So, all right. What about you, Leandro? What's your experience with it?
Like I said, I've run more Masks than I played. Like I've run like 12 sessions of Mask on the Gauntlet. I was actually running this playset last month.
Oh, really?
And
Okay.
yeah, I've tried to make sure that people know the team is there. Mainly because what I've been doing is I've been running every playset for the past couple of months.
Wow. Okay.
And we did the invasion of the bird fascists one, Iron Red Soldiers, in January.
Okay.
And because that was a very combat heavy one, I was going to make sure like you all want to aid each other. You definitely should take advantage of this. So I think it's very much a case of like just make sure people know it's there.
Okay. Well, so you ran this playset. You ran Phoenix Academy. What was your experience with it?
I would say like I think it's tricky because what happened was I just ran Iron Red Soldiers, and before that I ran the Spiderweb, which all kind of combat and intrigue heavy. So for Phoenix Academy, I was like, all right, we're gonna slow it down, less fighting and whatnot. And I don't know what it is, but we just it turned into it kind of turned into a half Monster Hearts campaign where it was so much drama.
Yeah,
it was just
That's
just so
intention,
much.
I feel like.
Yeah, and like
when you have 2 years at high school, I mean, drama's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, a lot of that will depend on the direction that you guys want to take the game, but it can certainly be that if that's what everyone wants. I'm perfectly open to that. Obviously, okay, cool.
My character's straight up built for drama, so
yeah. I mean, in my mind, I'm thinking that we're gonna obviously have some superhero trope sort of stuff, but there certainly will be room for that sort of thing if that's what you want. Okay, so let's go through the relationships real quick, and we'll again go through in reverse order of what we did last time, which means John gets to start. I just have to find your playbook here. John is the outsider, which I did not grab the right one. Hang on, where's outsider? There we go. Okay, so cluster. So let's talk about your relationships. Do you have those in front of you? If not, I can read them off.
I think you're muted.
Oh yeah. What did you want me to read off?
The relationships. So since these are kind of fill in the blank, it might be easier if you just read them.
You've been learning about Earth by spending time with blank. And you have a crush on blank, but you keep it under wraps.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See how that works with a gem creature.
So for those, I think I would go with maybe Sable Tigressa wants to teach me all about pop culture and in the real world or in Earth. And
I'll be the perfect influence.
Certainly.
Everyone
wears short skirts on Earth.
And I don't know. I'm kind of.
Anybody have a suggestion to help him out here? So
the other.
Yeah, who wouldn't mind having a gem creature have a crush on them?
If you want to super complicate things, Kai would be a good choice, but Kai also doesn't really know what they are at this point.
Yeah, I was also okay with being the crush either, so it doesn't matter.
I was leaning towards Kai.
Go for
All
it.
right, let's go with it then. Yeah, let's roll with it.
Yeah.
Tender's just a construct.
Is there anything about Kai that interests your character that kind of leads to this sort of a crush?
So
I think kind of because they are asking those questions about themselves as well. It's an easy way to relate.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting.
All right, that's cool. All right, so let's see. I have to look back at my list here, see who's next on the hit parade. Looks like we have Sable is next. So flip the star here. Yeah, so go for it.
Latria might wind up being more of a star than me someday.
Oh. All right.
And Cluster would be a great sidekick. I try to keep them around.
Okay. Okay, cool. What makes Sable think that Latria might be a bigger star than her?
I mean, her powers. Like she's a Nova.
Just flashy.
Yeah.
No.
So like, I mean, that's eye catching. That's eye catching.
Okay. Cool. All right. And make sure that you guys are putting them in the character keeper when you get a chance. All right. Enki. So we have our Scion. So do you have those in front of you?
Yes. So the first one is Latria is the only one who understands what I'm going through. I told them which part of me I wished was more like my parent. And then the other one is my parent once fought and thrashed blank. I've got to find a way to make it up to them. I'm not sure quite who makes sense for that. Possibly Sable, just because they've been a little bit in the superhero business a bit before and got the publicity, so that might have happened. But I don't.
I'm actually okay with you making that an NPC if you want.
They are
have that
the relationships with your teammates.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm totally being okay being thrashed by your dad.
I think that's an interesting way to go with it, just to keep things a little bit more insular for that.
Okay.
I'll put that down for now. If we decide it doesn't fit, we can change it. But I think that...
So I wanted to ask you about which part of you wishes you were more like your parent? What is that? What do you think that is?
So, like, the thing about like a narcissistic parent is that they're very good at talking up themselves and making themselves seem so cool and have everything together and all that, and they're the best at everything. And it's just like, I think Kai really wishes that they had things together the way that they always thought their dad did.
Okay. All right, and finally we have Latria. Latria. Wait a minute, which one is it? No, I forgot.
It's Latria.
Latria. God, okay. Yeah. So, do you have your relationships in front of you?
Yeah. I think. Yeah. You hang out all the time with Blank to blow off steam. I think actually, in a funny way, this is Sable to Gressa because Latria, she's a bit uptight, but she knows it, and she kind of figures, look, if I just hang out with someone who kind of really like cares about stuff I don't really care about, I could learn to blow off some steam. Maybe.
I can show you fun.
Here's Sable Triggers. Already like telling everyone how they should be.
Need to relax.
Oh god, she better not have influence on any or all of us. And I think actually you once heard Blank when you lost control of your powers. I kind of think this is Cluster because I think they could take it because their power box. I think this is very much. I don't know. I'm not sure what incited it, but this is very much a case of, hey, have you ever been hurled up into the air and then have to fall?
Yes, apparently I have.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the inciting incident. I think it was just like either I think it was a moment of frustration you kind of just stumbled upon. It's probably like a very like awkward. I really didn't mean to do that to you, but maybe chip the rock off you.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right, and so great. So the next part we're going to do, which I forgot to mention, is the influence part real quick. So again, we're going to go in the reverse order. So you have influence. We're going to start with Latria.
All right. So I think let's see. Choose your demeanor, happy facade, or lockdown. I say she's uptight, but I do try to put on a happy facade so everyone gets influence over me because I give influence to 3 teammates and only have 3.
Okay, cool. All right, let's go to then Enki.
This team may be the key to proving you're different from your parent, but you don't want to be defined by your peers. Give influence to 2 teammates. I think it's probably going to Sable and Latria. Latria. Oh, I'm sorry.
Latria. Is there a space on this sheet for influence? I think there is.
Yeah, it's
bottom there.
Relationships. Yep.
Got it. Okay. All right. Sable.
All right. Choose how you see the team, as a means to an end or something worthwhile on its own. If you see the team as a means to an end, give no one influence. If you see the team as something worthwhile, give 3 teammates influence. It's a means to an end.
All right. So no influence. And okay. And last one is going to be Cluster.
Choose your demeanor, haughty or cheerful. If you're haughty, you think you're better than them, give no one influence. If you're cheerful, you're thrilled to be here, give everyone influence. Everyone has influence.
Yes. Have influence on everyone.
And on the subject of influence, obviously, as is the default in masks, adults automatically have influence over you. That obviously includes all the faculty and everything. So keep that in mind. That comes up. Okay, cool. So the next part we're going to do is from the Unbound, or from the playset. So there's a faculty section that we're going to talk about before we do the when the team got together. So let me grab that real quick. I think this is just a couple of questions. Figure out where this is. Well, we went over the faculty. I wonder what this part is. Let me see. took a note to look at this. Oh, questions. Okay.
When our team first came together, or
yeah, we're gonna do that next. So this,
okay.
the instructions in the play set are do this part first, and then that part.
Okay.
So, okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna ask each one of you one of these questions, and if you could put the answer kind of in the same area where you've been putting these, maybe the relationship questions, wherever you can find a place for it's fine. Okay. All right. Ooh, I like this one. Okay, Enki. Which teacher do you believe is secretly a supervillain?
Ooh. I think the easy answer is going to be that Egyptian history teacher, but I don't know if that's the most interesting answer. Hang on, let me go over what we've got for the teachers again.
You can also just make up a teacher too.
Mm-hmm. I think it's more interesting to make one up for this. Let's see. I might need a minute since I'm coming up with one instead of going off with something that we already have.
Okay. Well, if you want to think about it, we can move on to the next person. You can just put it in there. Just let this, put it in somewhere so we can see it. Or just pipe up when you when it comes to you. All right. So let's see. Who else? All right. Let's see what we got here. I think this is a good question for Sable. Which teachers do you think are hooking up?
Oh, okay. Let's see. I'm gonna go. Nope. Oh, no. It's totally gonna be because I already have beef with her, White Owl, and let's see. And Mr. Brick.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. And all right. So we have Latria. I think I have one for you. Which teacher will just not cut you a break?
Oh God. Let's see. Let's look through. Let's see. I think just looking through like the schedule because I see that Sable's filling out their schedule. Ooh. Who's the White Owl hooking up with again? Just I don't remember.
It was White Owl and Mr. Brick.
Mr. Brick.
Mr. Brick, of course.
I should have won.
I kind of not give me a break for what? I do my best. I just.
What let me ask you, what grade level is Latria?
I think she's a sophomore. So
Sophomore, okay. So she could start taking classes about controlling her powers. So you might have an instructor like that maybe is having trouble with you.
Yeah, no, I think it's a power study professor, and whatever is Professor Jewel.
Okay.
Yeah, I think like he thinks I could be trying harder.
Okay.
But
okay, great. Okay. Yes. All right, and then I need one for Cluster. What teacher do you think would make a good headmaster?
Well, the obvious answer is Professor Quantum because he's my role model. And he's obviously a wonderful, very intelligent man. So therefore, the best to take over and be headmaster.
Okay, cool. So, so you mentioned that he's a mentor for you. How does that relationship work? Like, since you're, the kind of like, does he understand where you come from and kind of your situation with your origin?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. So now we're going to do the how your team got together part. So again, these are in your playbooks. So we'll go again in reverse order. We will start with cluster. So do you have yours in front of you?
1 second. When the first team first came together, we didn't trust each other at first, but that changed. How and why?
And we can all chime in on these too. So if you're struggling, just ask.
Yeah, absolutely. If anybody wants to contribute to this.
I mean, I'll say this: when you guys first got together, you're all very different from each other, so that's certainly a trust thing.
Yeah. Maybe they thought that I was the monster or something, because clearly I look like some kind of monster.
So let's go with that. How did it change?
I have an idea for that if you're open to it.
Absolutely.
I think so Kai's powers are like sorceress in nature, but I think I took a diagnostic of sorts and was like, oh, you're just like an associative crystal entity or whatever, and rattled off an explanation. It's like mystery solved and not a monster or whatever.
Are you good with that answer?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Cool. All right. Let's move on to then Sable.
We as a team attracted the attention of a major media outlet within the city thanks to our efforts. Who are they and why do they support us? HNN, the Hero News Network. They're basically TMZ for superheroes. It's like the Entertainment Tonight, type thing.
And why do they support you?
Because the young new teens, the new teen heroes, what's their story? And also because my own involvement, I've already got a built-in audience, so they're we're gonna piggyback on top of that audience to get ourselves more hits. So,
do you think that they have certain shows that focus on younger heroes? Maybe.
Probably.
Oh.
I mean, why wouldn't they?
Yeah. I wonder. It might be interesting, maybe if you were an occasional correspondent. What do you think?
Maybe we'll see. We'll see.
Okay. Cool.
Maybe it'll come up.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Let's move on to Inky.
Just to jump back for a moment, I do have an answer for who I secretly think is a supervillain.
Okay.
I think Kai thinks Professor Nathan Guile is a secret supervillain, although to all intents and purposes, as far as anybody knows, they're just a normal person with no powers. And I think the reason they think that is just because he's kind of a dick to them. And so now that they've got this association that, oh, my dad's kind of a mean person, this person's kind of a mean person, maybe they're a supervillain too.
Okay.
And maybe it's true, maybe it isn't, who knows? But
yeah.
And then as far as when our first team came together, someone important learned about my lineage and condemned us all. Who and why? And that's sort of... I don't have a great idea for that, because it's that one's sort of waiting for all of us to come together in some way. So that's...
this is where we talk about that. So does anyone have any thoughts?
Can you read it again?
Someone important learned about my lineage, as the Scion being the child of Anu, who was a supervillain, and condemned us all. Who learned about us? Learned about my lineage, and why did they learn about it, or why do they condemn us?
Could be like a powerful businessman type. That's like the Lex Luthor type of can't trust them. They're the child of so and so.
Or actually, here's an idea. What's the opposite of the Hero News Network? Is there a rival tabloid?
Sure, of course there is.
That would be interesting. It's like it's half a business decision and half a hey, this person's also the child of X.
Yeah, like
Hero News Weekly.
yeah, that's good.
Make it like barely different.
It's like the Weekly World News or whatever. The National Enquirer.
Like it's even trashier than the other one. Like it's even trashier than TMZ. All right, cool. Okay. All right, and then looks like we just have Latria then.
Yeah, so we destroyed our surroundings in the fight, or was it? What did we destroy? I need to clarify. Did we come together before or after coming to this school?
I would think it's after, just because certainly Cluster, you wouldn't have met him before because he came right here. So
okay, I think we destroyed half the gym. It's and part of it's my fault. I kind of panic and start tearing off parts of the gym to throw it wherever we were fighting. Maybe it was Cluster. I'm sorry. Maybe that's where he got hurt. I'm really sorry.
What did your gym teacher think about all this, Sergeant Surge?
Look, I like to believe Sergeant Surge is a classy fella who understands. No, I think he probably also has it out for me then. No, he's a very logical person, and probably just thought like, hey, look, teenagers, that's what happens. But I'm not sure. Sergeant Surge is hard to read.
We go through more gyms in this school than.
Well, he is a robot, so that does make him automatically hard to read. To be fair,
positioning new gym.
Yeah. To be fair, robot. Okay.
We're gonna need a new gym.
We're gonna need a new gym. All right, cool. So I think that we have a good start. We have all our characters created. I think. Is there anything I'm missing? I think we've got everything in here. We've got some artwork coming in. Looks good. I'm just looking over the character sheets real quick. I don't see any blanks or anything that we need to fill in. I'm gonna take a look at the class goals that you guys worked on. Looks like a couple of you are done, which is great. So let's give Sable and Latria one potential each. And then Enki, when you do yours, and Cluster, go ahead and fill yours in whenever you want. Doesn't have to be now. We'll give you potential when you get that done.
I'll probably fill mine over the weekend.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And yeah, so we'll check it next time if you want. We'll probably won't make a ton of use of this today, but I will definitely look at it for next time and see what we can do to make this interesting. Okay, so all right, so we have about an hour-ish left. Joe, how are you doing in terms of your?
Doing pretty good.
Cool. Okay, so I want to do a scene that we can kind of get into our characters and do some cool stuff.
Can I ask real quick, just a reminder what grade level everyone is?
Good question. Yes.
Junior.
Sophomore. I'm gonna have some freshman English there that I need to change.
Oh, you can be
remedial.
It's possible.
Yeah, probably.
Might be good to just put it under like the real name somewhere. Like I've just put freshman in mine.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind doing that, that'd be great.
Yeah.
It's not going to stop you from doing stuff together, but socially, it certainly would change maybe a few things.
Mm-hmm. Definitely changes the power dynamic to an extent, I think.
I think for everyone but Cluster, because I think the understanding is Cluster is just like social adjustment wise as a freshman, but I mean they're certainly capable and know stuff, you know. So it's kind of a
probably
weird
got
situation.
like a graduate level understanding of physics or something.
Right. Like,
what do you mean it doesn't work that way? I just tap into the crystal and it's done.
Right.
Crystals don't work that way.
Okay. And then Courtney's a junior, right?
Sable DeGrasse is a junior.
Okay. What grade is Courtney?
She doesn't go here.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to start off. It's pretty close to the beginning of the school year. So follows a typical school year. So you would have your fall semester. You have a break, a winter break. Then you come back and you do your spring semester, and then you're off for the couple months in the summer. So typical. If you're going to an American school, that's typically how it works, and we'll just do that just to make it easier on people who are familiar with that process. And so it's fairly early on. You have you started your classes. We'll say that you're, depending on. Actually, let's ask that question. So we'll go through everybody. So let's start with cluster. I think maybe the most interesting. So how are you adjusting? Since you're a freshman, that means you recently got here. So what is your how are you adjusting to life at the Phoenix Academy?
It's definitely a different experience because there's a whole lot of people. Prior to this, I've basically I had very little, so there's so much difference and everything going on. Like, he doesn't quite have figured out clothes yet, aside from he's supposed to have something covering these bits. So yeah, so it's definitely a growth and adjustment period. He's like, I have a bag of books and I'm carrying it.
All right, cool. Okay, and what about Sable? So Sable, you've been at the school. Now, did you start here? Did you start here as a freshman?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you're very well adjusted, obviously. So how are you approaching junior year?
Oh, I mean, just got to get through this, then one more year, and then I'm out and been on my own. She's confident. She's the captain, head of the cheerleading team, despite not being a senior. She's got that star power.
Are there any lingering issues socially or anything that she needs to deal with?
I'm sure so that she has made some enemies along the way.
Okay, cool. All right.
So other students don't have influence on me.
Yes. Cool. Okay, well, we'll talk about that probably next time, so think about that. Okay, Enki, how are you adjusting? You're a freshman, looks like. So how are you adjusting to life at the school?
Probably not super well. I think living in the dorm situation, first time away from my narcissistic controlling dad, probably isn't going all that great. It's a very different social structure. I probably have some issues with my roommate. The structured school, the structure of school is probably not great for how Kai is doing. But I'm getting through. I'm not failing any classes, I don't think, at least at this point. But
okay, cool. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. All right, great.
Miss half the first class or whatever.
Okay. And finally, Latria. So you're a sophomore, so you've been there. Did you also freshman year here?
Yeah, I did. I think I spent that freshman year kind of trying to keep my head down, trying to keep myself on the wraps. Just no, I'll just study and do my best, and take it all in and keep to myself. Helena's trying to help me with getting control of myself, so I don't hear every stray thought that goes through. It is. You don't want to be hearing high school teenagers thoughts all the time. That's a nightmare.
It can be super dangerous, right? Exactly.
Yeah. No wonder she tore off part of the gym in the fifth. Right. But yeah, so that was freshman year though. Just things should all locked down. So sophomore year, maybe she has room to get a bit more loose. Maybe just enjoy herself just a bit. Everything's under wraps. Everything's fine. She's doing her best.
Okay, cool. All right. So one thing that we touched on in Enki's response is about the living situation. So you are living at the Phoenix Academy, and I wanted to talk about what that is like. So you guys want to all be in one big dorm room together? Do you want to be in separate? How do you want to, this is open to anybody. How do you want to handle that? The school, I'm going to say right now, the school is not going to necessarily separate you by gender. So if you decide that they should, that's fine with me. If you don't care, if you think they're a little bit more progressive and they're like, hey, you just deal with it, that's fine with me too. So this is just kind of an open question for everybody to discuss.
So the college near me in real life, I think, has a really neat setup. They have the like student apartments are basically 4 individual bedrooms with 1 shared living space. So I think that would be kind of a neat way to, each person has a very limited room, and then we have to share that central area.
What do you guys think?
Makes sense to me. The question is it usually like a mix of year groups? Because like I would expect that maybe Enki and Cluster would be in the same.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, because you're both freshmen, and then the sophomore and the junior teamed up together in a room.
I do kind of like the idea that we don't live together. We kind of have to we have to meet up with each other like more directly. So when we have room away from each other.
Okay. So you could be in like the same building, but maybe in different rooms, like physical rooms of some kind.
Different floors, maybe.
Different floors, right? So Cluster and Enki together. You guys cool with that?
Sure.
Okay. And then Sable, are you in your own room since you're a junior, or do you want a room with Latria? Or
I'm okay with rooming with Latria.
Latria?
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Okay, cool. All right, so we'll say that's what it is.
Get you. Oh, do we get you in like one of the? Because my college had like juniors and seniors had the chance to live like in the, not the dorms, but they had like townhouses that were also on campus.
Yeah, so they like modeled being in a real like apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Phoenix Academy is on this huge island. I don't even know how big it is, so we'll say sure.
Yeah, cool. So despite you being a sophomore, I got you into a great place.
Yeah.
Couldn't swing with the freshmen.
No, that would be bridge too far. They have to earn it.
Yeah. You and the other cheerleading team, rest of the cheerleaders. So.
All right, cool. So all right. So you guys are doing your normal stuff. You're getting adjusted. You maybe a couple of weeks of classes, and you are. So what I want to do is I want to go through each character real quick, and I want to find out one conflict or trouble that you've run into so far. So let's start with Cluster. What kind of conflict or trouble have you run into your first couple of weeks here?
This is all powered people in the school?
Yes.
Right?
Well, no. So some of the faculty are normal, some of them are powered. All the students have powers of some kind.
I think
it could be an academic situation. It could be. It sounds like probably more of a social situation seems likely for you, but
I think bullying is kind of like the most obvious and straightforward one. I think he has already got in trouble in gym class because he can completely change the shape of his body anytime he wants, so he finds the kind of pointless. So he's had some class troubles there.
Okay. Is the teacher being understanding about it, or is the teacher making it harder for you?
Sergeant Surge is making it harder.
Okay. Cool. Okay. All right. So Sable, what kind of challenges have you run into?
Oh, superhero ethics with White Owl. She's always on my case. It's ridiculous. It's unfair. It's not my fault that I have an audience that I have to, keep updated.
So is that what the problem is? Is that?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Excellent. All right. Enki.
I think the obvious one is that I constantly probably miss like half or more of the first class of the morning. So when I figure out my schedule, that'll be a particular problem with that teacher, just because I'm not used to having to get up at a certain time because, like I said, Anu doesn't, or Muhammad is his actual name, does not care when I get up. He doesn't really care about me in a lot of ways. So, like, coming to this structured thing where you have to be at this place at this time has not gone well. So, like, I've probably got a few detentions just to being late so often at this point, even early on in the term.
Okay, cool. All right. And then, Alatria, what do you think? What kind of challenges have you run into so far?
Besides the usual, which is, well, I'd say like for herself, school, like studying and whatnot, isn't a problem. She I think she tries to be like a bit of an honor student, stick in the mud, sort of person. So I think her main problem right now is, it's a bit more social. I think it's her friend Arya. This is a very benign problem. Her friend Arya is, she's a junior, so she's a bit higher up, and she's just has less time for Latria these days, partially because she's in like 3 different clubs. She's fairly popular in school, and she's trying to convince Latria to join the choir because she thinks, no, you have a totally good singing voice. I know it. And Latria's like, no, you only think that because you have control over sound, so you can hear sound very well. That's you're overrating what I'm doing, Helena.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you're just kind of socially trying to adjust. Okay. Cool. Okay. Great. So again, we'll kind of mine some of that stuff for next time. One thing that's very exciting is that your characters, all of the kids, probably not the entire school, but a big chunk of the school is going on a field trip. Ooh. So you guys and gals are going to Halcyon City. Those of you that have been in the school for, this is your second or third year, you've been on field trips before. Typically, it's once or twice a year. It's not a ton. Usually, they'll bring people to you guys if it's like a speaking thing. So this is not what that is. There is a superhero, a Silver Age superhero, so an older superhero who is retiring, and her name is Mermaid. And you guys have all heard of Mermaid, well, maybe with the exception of Cluster. She has, kind of water power. She's kind of like an Aquaman sort of character. So she can, kind of speak with watery creatures, and she can swim and stuff like that. So anyway, so she's retiring, and so they are dedicating a wing of the aquarium to Mermaid. And so she's giving a talk at the aquarium. And so the faculty have decided that this would be a good thing for you guys to go see. And so you're taking a field trip to the aquarium. So what does Cluster think about going to? You know what an aquarium is? Like, what are your feelings on this?
It seems like an amazing thing. I have never been to an aquarium. It's just such part of the wonderful diversity of this planet. Everything is, so similar on mine. And these creatures, they can only breathe underwater. That is an amazing thing.
So you're interested in it from kind of a scientific point of view?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. What about Sable? What do you think about this sort of activity?
Oh yeah, no, Sable's all about going on field trips. She's got to go out in the public. She can totally tweet about it. What an honor it is. The legacy of the mermaid.
Now, one thing that you would probably know is that H&N will definitely be there to cover this.
Of course. So I can talk to them.
Yeah.
Talk to my fans. I let them know that I'll be there.
Oh, yeah. Cool. All right. Enki, what do you think about this field trip?
I think Enki is super excited and just face against the glass because her father has never taken her to a place like that. He's always been self-absorbed. It's all about things that he wants to do, and that's not fish, apparently.
Okay, cool. All right, and what about Latria?
She is kind of nonplussed about it. I think she didn't really look up much of superheroes. It was more like they were an example for her to get away from her home life. So this is less of like, oh, I'm excited to see what these superheroes, and more like, yeah, I guess this is an important person, and I should learn all about this important person. Otherwise, why would we be here? But this is kind of like I never really paid attention to this, so I figured I should because I don't know, they might test me for this later.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So you guys will be gathered up at school. They have these like cool flying vehicles that they take you on that take you across to Halcyon City. They're like these big. It look like they have like they're not helicopters per se. They look like the helicarrier in Shield, but they're smaller. Like they're basically like transports. So they're like mini versions of the helicarriers. They have like little spinning rotors and stuff in there, and they kind of fly across from Academy Island over to the city. So you guys have been on these before. This is how you probably got here. Although there's also a ferry that goes across, but it's a little bit slower. So you fly across there. Now, would you guys all be hanging out together during this trip?
I think Cluster and Enki would probably be together just due to the like dorm matesness. I guess it's up to the others if we would all be together.
Sure, I see little reason.
Okay. All right. Okay, great. So it's a fairly short trip, about 10 minutes or so to get across to Halcyon City, and you land near the aquarium. So from there, they just kind of walk you over to the aquarium. There's already a ton of people there. The aquarium this is about when they normally would open, or they've been open for maybe like half an hour or so, but this is a big event, obviously, for the aquarium. Any of you that would have paid attention to the news would know that they've been working on adding this edition for a long time. So, them kind of naming it in Mermaid's honor is a new development. They weren't building it for her. Basically, it just kind of worked out this way that she was retiring. They're like, oh, cool, let's get some attention for our aquarium and name it for her. So that's kind of like what's happening, and they're maybe hoping they'll get some extra donations out of it. So that's really what's going on here. But I don't know if your characters would necessarily be cognizant of that. But in any event, so there's a lot of folks there. There's fans of Mermaid who are there. There's police, obviously. There's media. The staff is at their wits' end with all these extra people because the aquarium, I mean, it's kind of popular, but this is crazy for them. So they're just, they had to hire extra people to help and all this stuff. So they're running around. Docents and other staff members are like, trying to help with all this, extra people they're dealing with. So, you imagine there's probably 2 to 3 times as many people as they're used to in the aquarium. So they're kind of like, ooh. So they're all stretched down. Like I said, the police are there. Media is there, of course. So you see the HNN people. What was the other one? What was the trashy one? Trashier one.
Secret Files Weekly.
Secret Files Weekly. I like that better than the other one. Okay. The other one sounds too similar to the HNN. Okay, cool. So they're all there. Normal non-superpowery media is there. So there's a ton of media there. They're all excited because Mermaid is very well known. She's always been like a superhero. None of this kind of gray area stuff. Like she's always been, as a Silver Age hero, she's probably in her 60s, you'd guess. It's hard to tell with her. She basically is like kind of half, I don't say half fish, but you can't really tell how old she is, but you'd guess based on how long she's been around, she's probably about 60-ish. So anyway, so she's there. She's still wearing her little, her superhero outfit. And she's up on a stage. So you're in this auditorium that's in the new wing. There are other schools that are also there. So there's kids from regular schools are also there. You see a few pockets of them. Probably about 30 or 40 kids from each school. So say there's about maybe 100-ish or so, including you guys that are that age. So some younger, some middle school kids too. So they're not all high school kids. And then all these other people. people. So this auditorium is completely packed. Now so there's people outside the auditorium, like all of the staff and police and media and stuff are outside. There might be maybe one or two of those people, like a couple security guards maybe inside, and like maybe like a host or somebody on the stage with Mermaid kind of asking questions and stuff like that. So it's not just like a speech, it's kind of a interview / speech. So basically the idea is she's going to talk for about 20 minutes and then she'll take questions from a handful of people, not everybody, but would any of your characters have volunteered to ask a question of Mermaid?
Probably. I just don't know a good question to ask.
Oh, you don't have to come up with the question. I'm just saying, yes or no, would you have volunteered?
Like, yes, totally.
Okay, cool. Probably they wouldn't let the freshmen. So you guys...
Sable giving up a chance to not be on camera? I mean, come on.
All right, cool. What about Lotcher? What do you think? Would you have volunteered to do that?
She probably would have, but I think she in character wouldn't know what to ask, and she might have volunteered just so because that seems like the right thing to do. Yeah. But I think while she's sitting there, she's trying to figure out like, what the heck?
Like, how do I back out of this? Okay, cool. All right, cool. Okay. All right. So, as you guys are going in, you're kind of being herded through the aquarium because there's so many people and they've got to get you in the auditorium so they can get started with all this stuff. Sable, you recognize a couple of your fans. Like I'm sure you know what some of the big fans look like, right? So you notice a couple of them, and they're all like, they're all excited to see you. Mm-hmm. So what would you do with them as you're kind of being shuffled through this?
I would totally just like, I'd slip my way over there to go and hug them and. I only have a few moments, so hug them and pose for some pictures with them.
So some of them have pictures of you that they've obviously printed off of the internet because you don't have any merchandise yet. They're like, sign this picture. I totally printed off the internet. So do you autograph?
Yeah, totally, of course.
All right, cool. One of them wants you to scratch her arm. Will you do that?
I don't want to cut you, hon.
Just lightly. Come on. This girl's like 12.
All right. Okay. I'll give her like a little head scratch type thing.
All right. Cool. Yeah, these people are pretty nuts. Which I'm sure your character's used to. Okay. So you guess maybe about 20 of these kids are probably your fans. They're kind of all together. You can tell they're all kind of like, they're more excited than anybody else is about you specifically being there. So, okay. Are you going to do anything while you're here in terms of like a live stream or chatting or tweeting or anything, you think?
I could totally see her live streaming like some of the ceremony.
Okay. So, what they've
adding emojis like Mermaid was such an inspiration.
Right. So the people that your teachers have told you that because you volunteered to ask a question, you're actually going to go up on stage with Mermaid and ask the question. So they kind of want you to go up there. So, which I'm assuming you're okay with.
Oh no!
Oh no! All right, cool. Okay, great. So, Mermaid is giving her speech. Unless there's something anybody else wanted to do before we get to that point. Okay. So Mermaid is giving her speech. So to kind of get an idea what Mermaid looks like, she's got like this blonde curly hair. She's got kind of pale-ish skin, but you notice, and any of your characters that would have researched her beforehand or whatever would realize she has these kind of weird scales that you can see at a certain angle. They're the same color as her skin, so it's kind of hard to see from far away, but if the light hits it just right, you'll see that she has a kind of a sheen. And she's got like this green, the typical mermaid outfit, right? So she's got this green kind of a gown looking thing that's got scales like fish scales, right? So, and then she has feet that stick out. So she has the tail thingy, but it's part of the costume. So right next to where the tail would go, there's like little spots for her feet to come out. So she walks where she doesn't like hop around on the tail. That would look pretty dumb. So she walks around like a regular. She's got this weird tail flopping around. But anyway, so she talks about her experience, and she was with a superhero group for a while, and it's not the Exemplars. It's an older group which has long since disbanded. They kind of went their separate ways. They're still friends, but some of them have died. Some of them have gone into a permanent retirement, like she's about to, that sort of thing. So, a lot of old war stories and stuff like that. We've fought this one villain and it was a big deal and we wrecked half the city and that kind of stuff. So, so that's cool. So, what would your characters be doing during this speech? If you have any ideas for that. I think we know what Sable's doing. Does anyone else kind of have any?
Would you have had any stories about like fighting Anu?
How possibly how old would your dad have been? Silver Age-ish?
I think so, because like he's retired, but he's like recently retired.
Okay.
Like I'm still teenaged, and he didn't have
why not?
super late.
Yeah. We'll say that she actually they captured her team captured Anu one time and stopped him from doing something nefarious. I don't know, destroying something or whatever he would typically do. So how does your character feel about that?
Very like it probably like distracts her from what she was, or they were already doing. I keep doing that.
I noticed you've changed it a few times on there.
No, it's they them. I think they will eventually transition to she her. I just don't think they're there yet as a 14-year-old or whatever as a freshman.
Okay.
No, I think they are definitely like drawn away from like where they were probably just like face up against the glass of the aquarium wall in this room where this press conference is happening. Okay. And then just like sort of drawn into the story and has a very troubled expression, I would imagine.
So here's a good question for the rest of you. So you guys know that Anu is Enki's dad. So how do you guys react to hearing this story about your friend's dad being a villain? I mean, he's a villain, but this is the first time you've probably heard a story about it, not from Enki. Like, are you sympathetic? Are you like, don't want to be anywhere near this person because they're weird? Like, what is your, reaction to this?
Part of the draw of Enki, that there might be a bad boy in him.
All right.
Wow.
So, plus, I've already been beaten up by his dad before, so.
You're probably like,
That's gonna be an interesting relationship to explore there.
Yeah. What about Latria? What does Latria think about?
I think during the speech, she's furiously trying to think of.
She's still on that. All right.
Yeah, but I think when Mermaid brings up Anu, that kind of like breaks to her reverie, and she kind of like she looks at Enki and see how they're reacting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just for reference for everybody else's character, he still dresses and appears to be male for all outward appearances.
With the big beard, right? No, I'm kidding.
No, not with the big beard.
That would be the dead giveaway. All right, cool.
He shaves religiously.
Okay. All right. So the speech comes to an end. I mean, the part with Anu is maybe like 10 minutes. It's not like a huge piece of it, but it's referenced. And Mermaid has gone on a little bit longer than everyone was expecting, but no one obviously is going to stop her. So now it's time for the questions from the audience. So this anchor from HNN, Angela McMillan. I don't know if anyone can remember that. I'll write it down. But anyway, Angela McMillan is a anchor who Sable knows. So you've interacted with Angela before. And she seems to like you, but it's hard to tell because she's fake with everybody because she's a news personality. So, so she's the one doing the kind of the Q&A portion. So she comes up and introduces herself and, of course, mentions HNN and says, yes, now we're going to open it up to the floor. we have a couple of students who have some questions ready to go. And of course, at this point, the faculty is kind of nudging Sable and to a lesser extent Latria. Hey, make sure you're ready, whatever. So they bring up a few of the other students first. So they're asking kind of, can you breathe underwater? And questions about her powers and things that your characters probably already know. So you're like, whatever. What's it like to super punch somebody or whatever, stuff like that. So, so you've got maybe 2 or 3 questions out of the way, and they're kind of silly-ish to you guys probably. Or maybe not to Cluster, but everybody else you're kind of like, what, really? And then it's time for Sable to go up. So Sable, what do you do? It's your turn to you got to kind of walk through this audience and then go up on the stage. So is there anything you want to do as you're trying to draw attention to yourself, or anything you want?
I mean, I hold my head high and walk with purpose. Or
okay.
Purpose.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. So, let's see here. Okay. Quickly checking. There's any moves that make sense for this. Okay, cool. So you don't have to run anything else, so you're not in danger. So you go up there and you what would you want to ask?
Yeah, I've got it's so annoying, but Mermaid, you've always been considered throughout all the years of your fighting crime, you've always been considered a style icon, and ask some so annoying question along those lines of what are some best tips of advice of how for the young heroes to impress.
Okay, cool. So she tells you to, and she acknowledges that you're with the Phoenix Academy, and she talks about the virtues of staying in school. And when I was your age, the Phoenix Academy didn't exist, so we didn't really have the opportunity to learn about our powers this way. So you should really take advantage of that and make sure to listen to your teachers, even the ones who are reformed villains and blah. Typical stuff you would expect someone to say in this situation. And as she's talking,
but what about your fashion choices? That's what many of us want to know about.
Well, as you can see, I have this fashionable green gown on, and she talks about who made it and all this nonsense. But while she's talking, though, all of a sudden, from the ceiling, there's a noise, like a crashing noise, and these say uniformed figures drop down onto the stage, and they
leans on elbow, rolls her eyes.
So these figures drop down from ropes and stuff, and they are wearing some kind of stylized body armor, and they're carrying these guns that they're not rifles. They look like they're some kind of high tech gun-ish. You're not really sure what they do, but you do see they're kind of glowing a little bit, kind of a bluish glow to them. And so obviously, Mermaid turns to see these things, and then from behind her drops down a supervillain named Frostbite. You guys have heard of Frostbite before. He is a famous nemesis of the Mermaid. So, and he says, this is my last chance to take you down, Mermaid, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So it looks like there's some stuff.
And Sable's just really? Really?
So, yeah. So, Sable, you're right there. What would you do?
I mean, after all of these years, and she still got the microphone in her hand.
Oh yeah.
It's really, Frostbite. After all these years, you think now is the best time to attack as she's retiring? You could have just gone on your and this is how you show up, dressed like this. Look at the crowd. Do you have any dignity? As I'm trying to shut them down.
Okay.
I'm being cold and cruel.
Okay. Yeah, why don't we see how that goes? This is a combat situation. So do you guys want to do the team thing?
Sure. There's probably some tokens you can add to roll for your party, I guess.
I
don't know.
I'll just keep track of it.
We start with 1 to start.
And
right?
you start with 1, okay.
And then when you go into a battle, you add 3. Oh wait, there's a whole thing on the.
The basic moves.
Yeah, let's look at that move sheet.
Yeah, I'm looking at. Okay, when you enter a battle against a dangerous foe as a team.
Yeah, start a session. GM adds a team to the pool.
Okay, so then you have 3 right now.
Yeah. So
that's a question. Who's your leader?
Me.
Yeah, probably Sable. Yeah,
I stepped up to the plate. So.
All right. Do you have influence over everyone on the team?
I do.
Okay, that gives you 1 more. So that gives you 4. Everyone has the same purpose in the fight. That's a good question. I'm not sure yet.
Unlikely.
So we'll say no for that. Anyone mistrust the leader or the team?
Kind of don't want to.
You don't want to trust the team, or you?
I don't want to distrust the team.
Okay.
I have some questions about Enki at this point, but I trust the team.
All right.
Well, Enki's not the leader, so it's either the entire team. Or...
Anyone mistrust Sable?
Yeah, Sable. Yeah. So we'll leave that where it's at for now.
So.
I don't know how much of this we're going to use right now anyway, so I think we're good. Ill prepared, off balance.
Yes.
I mean, you're surprised, so yeah. So we'll say you're at 3. All right.
No, there should be 1 to start plus 3.
No, 1 and then 2.
No,
3.
We start to add 2 to the pool.
Oh,
and then
2.
There's the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're at 3.
I'm used to adding. I don't know. I'm my brain dumb.
Too many play tests.
Yeah. I need to add influence. Add another.
But you could mark a condition if you want to not lose the team for being ill prepared. Yeah. All right. I'll figure out some way to track this and roll for your party. I don't want to waste time with it right now, so I'll just try to remember that you guys have 3. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah. So let's do your move here. So you're being cold and cruel to someone who's cold and cruel. I wonder how that's going to work.
All right.
Find out.
Oh, Jesus. Well, there's a 4, but I got a +3 superior, so
okay.
9.
All right.
God damn. Nope, not a 10 plus. On a 7 or 9, you either each inflict a condition on the other, or both lose influence over each other. Your choice. Well, we don't both have influence each other.
He has influence over you because he's an adult.
I know that. I'd like to choose that, but I don't think I can because I don't have influence over him.
If you lose influence and didn't have it, I think your labels shift. I think that's how that works. So if you did want to choose that, you could. But I would shift your labels if you choose that option.
Yeah, sure. Let's go for it.
Okay. So let's see. Let me think about this.
Wait, no. We're gonna each inflict a condition on each other. That makes more sense, really.
Okay.
Because there's just some bratty teenager just dissing this dude, what? And just the ideas of wow, ow, what the.
So, what condition would you want to give Frostbite?
I think you get to choose.
Oh, I choose it. Okay.
Yeah, you choose what
Don't
condition.
Don't make him angry. That makes the most sense.
Yeah.
You're trying to spoil his moment. So he
angry or insecure, they'd both be fun.
I think angry makes more sense for him right now.
Toast.
Just get rid of this nuisance. And so one of the guys with the guns shoots this blast of cold at you that comes out of his gun and kind of knocks you to the floor and makes you. I think you could be insecure for that.
Okay.
That seems legitimate. All right. So you're knocked down. Kind of covered in this snowy, kind of icy mix of whatever this is, and you're cold, obviously.
Thank God I have fur.
What's that?
I said, thank God I have fur.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Well, but it's all over. Your fur's all wet now, or it's going to be when this melts.
Rude.
All right. So for the rest of you down in now, what's happening in the crowd is everyone's flipping out because obviously, they're shocked by this. And so it's a madhouse. So there's, like I said, there's a few security guards in here, but not enough to handle this sort of chaos. So everyone's just kind of running different directions and it's crazy. And people maybe could get stomped, trampled, that sort of thing. So does anyone want to jump in and do something about that or help Sable or run for your life or whatever?
I think while Sable was shutting them down, I kind of had to turn to their dude like, she might need our help. But then once the Clammy started, I kind of like just like charge ahead. Well, in the meantime, I think I'm rolling to charge up my powers.
Yeah. And you don't have to ask your question now. The Q&A portion is over.
Yeah, no, I know that's the thing. Yeah, exactly. Right. I might escape it.
So you roll. What do you roll to do? Do you have that on here?
Yeah, I've just roll plus conditions. I don't know.
Okay.
At the moment. Ah, dear. Well, that's a miss.
All right.
So, mark potential. I get 2 burn, but 2 conditions.
And 2 conditions. Okay. Do I choose the conditions?
There's no mark 3 conditions, so I get to choose.
Oh, lucky you. What are the 2 you don't want, basically, at this point? That's.
Let's see. I think I'm definitely afraid. I don't think I'm angry or guilty. Oh no, I think I'm guilty and insecure. I don't think I'm hopeless yet. I think I'm guilty because I even thought of like no. I think I'm definitely guilty for some reason.
So let's describe what this looks like. So you're trying to react. So you said you were trying to help Sable, right?
Yeah, like as soon as like the cold shooting started, I've turned away from the other 2 and just kind of start charging up what I could do.
Okay. What? So what does it look like? Like what did you try to do? I guess is the question.
I think I'm going to try and. Yeah, I'm just gonna aim for the big kahuna. I'm trying to like suddenly fling as many chairs and rip them off the hinges of the auditorium. Like
okay.
No damage will happen. Straight up frostbite.
So what happens is you end up ripping up a bunch of these seats, but there's so many people around that you end up hitting a ton of people. And at that point, you are like shocked into stopping what you were trying to. Like, you may still have been able to do this eventually, but you've just like hit a bunch of people with these chairs. Now you're like,
well, that was tragic.
So, all right, cool. All right, what about our other 2? Our 2 freshmen.
I think for Enki, like, their immediate reaction would just be to like summon their weapon, which is the Hammer of Eden as previously discussed, and like as part of that, there's like a spell that changes their outfit, so they go into their superhero guise at the same time.
Cool. Well, what does this hammer look like?
So it's basically like you take like the head of a maul, like that double-headed hammer that's just basically a brick on the end of a stick, and it's on the end of a long, thin staff. So picture the spear in that picture at the bottom of my thing, except with a hammer on the end of it.
Okay.
As far as like metal or color, it's like a fool's gold color. Like, it's not brilliant and shining yellow, but it's like a bronzish color. So that's the appearance. I have more thoughts about the outfit. Maybe we can go into that when I actually come up with a picture of it. But generally, it's sort of a mix between a robe and a dress. Like, it's got a pleated skirt. It's got a like half cape over the shoulder.
Okay. All right. So you do this. That doesn't take any time, really. Now, one thing I do want to point out to you is you probably would know that Anu and Frostbite have worked together before. So you've probably heard of this Frostbite guy more than everybody else.
Okay. So if they'd worked together, would I know about any of his like weaknesses or anything like that?
You could certainly try to find out. You could.
Okay, what would that roll be?
Let's see. I believe. Well,
assess the situation, maybe.
You could. I think.
Well, there's a protege move about reading up on files. So.
Yeah, there's Pierce the Mask, which does tell you some stuff about. That's more of like a personality thing. If you want to use assess the situation, I'm okay with that. Unless you have you have your change sides. Yeah, not really. Okay.
like I could like probably role play to change the size. I don't think that's what's happening yet.
That's fine. Yeah. Do you want to assess then?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's plus superior,
Yeah.
which I have absolutely 0 in, so it's going to be a straight roll of. I guess I'm the screen dice here. Should I just re-roll those?
Whichever you want to do. Whatever makes it easier for you.
That is a straight 5. That's a miss.
All right. So go ahead and mark your potential.
Okay.
So you are thinking about, your mind is temporarily taken away to your flashback of like when you maybe one time you overheard them plotting something and you're like, leering nearby to kind of hear what they're not leering, but lurking nearby to kind of hear what they're talking about. So you're thinking about this. Meanwhile, all of these like middle school kids just like run you over. so you're basically knocked to the ground, so you're knocked to the ground, and in addition to that, since there's now an opening to get out of the room because all of these middle school kids trampled you, you think that some more larger people are going to start also making their exit, which means you're in danger of being trampled again. Which probably is going to cause a condition. So either you or somebody else should probably jump in to extricate yourself from the situation. So does somebody want to help poor Inky? Do they want to even see what happened to Inky?
Yeah, Cluster will step around and try to basically like corral the people around Inky, so that they head towards the exit.
Okay. That sounds like, and remember you guys have those team points to spend too if you need to. So just FYI, don't forget those. So that sounds like maybe defend?
Sure.
Okay. So roll plus your savior.
Okay. Yeah, my savior is a 0, so that would be a 4.
Okay.
That's a great start.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, all right. So what happens is you both get trampled, which is exciting.
Why don't people all move together?
They all move as one entity. What's wrong with them? All right. So you are basically like all these people bowl you over. So you're also knocked to the ground. Now, I think what might be kind of fun for Cluster is maybe you're knocked into like several different sections. You can do that, right? Like you're
spread out all over the ground.
So you basically shatter almost, right? Like, it doesn't hurt you personally. Well, it does, but it's just, yeah. So you just kind of go wee all over the place. So anyway, so you both get trampled. So I'm going to give both of you. So I think Cluster would be. I want to say Cluster's angry because he failed to help Inky. Inky is. I'm going to add a new condition called trampled. No. Hopeless, maybe? Yeah, okay. Let's go hopeless.
Okay.
Unless you can make a strong case for a different one. I'm open to...
Like, I could see like either insecure or afraid just because of maybe what I've heard about this guy without like having any solid details.
Yeah, actually, yeah, let's go afraid. I like that. Let's go afraid.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So are you guys okay with me going back to Sable? See what's going on up on the stage? Okay. So what are you going to do, Sable? You've been iced.
Yeah, well, I'm obviously not happy about this.
Yeah.
Disgusting. And well, he's still like right there with Mermaid. Mermaid hopefully is, tied to the game to not be a hostage. But yeah, there's an audience fighting. I feel a bit guilty about just like taking the time to just insult him rather than like rush to fight him immediately. So I'm gonna mark guilty as I'm going to directly engage with superior instead of danger because there's an audience watching.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah, excellent. So now I will tell you this: Mermaid is getting ready to do stuff. So
you
can certainly
totally do the Silver Age, Modern Age team up of like she rips the skirt off and we fight and flipping around, scratching.
Cool. So I'm actually, because Mermaid is there to do stuff too, I'm actually going to give you a +1 to whatever you're going to do.
I'll take it. Jesus. 5 + 4 is a 9. So
Okay.
if somebody wants to describe how they're helping.
I'm going to spend a burn to give you a +1.
All right.
Sure.
Well, you can spend team to help. You don't need to spend a burn if you don't want to.
So other people can help themselves when they get trampled.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
So how are you? So how are you helping with this whole thing?
I think really annoyed and kind of disheartened with my attempts to interact with the situation. Instead, I'm gonna help my teammates. So I think what I kind of do is like maybe like I kind of not reach in, well, kind of like reach into Sable's mind and kind of like not like control it, but like just not massage it, but like just kind of like get them to get them up on their feet before.
Yeah, like
kind of like
my abilities and stuff.
Yeah. So they can transform to a tiger like much quicker than they probably would have.
Cool. So that gives you a 10+.
Yeah, totally. 10+. On directly engage.
Yeah.
I get to we trade blows, and I get to pick 2. I'm going to resist or avoid their blows and take something from them. They're they had that like weapon, right?
So Frostbite doesn't have the getup that the soldier guys have. He just shoots.
What's Frostbite's getup?
He looks like a big ice statue. He has like a little helmet on. You could take the helmet if you want.
All right.
Or you could take like a positioning thing. Like it doesn't have to be an item.
Okay. So then I'm gonna create an opportunity for my allies.
Okay. So what is that? Like what does that look like? What do you do to create the opportunity? What does it look like?
Oh, I mean, like it's like we're Mermaid and I are fighting in tandem as like scratch across the helmet where it's sort of like blinding and like or whatever, and that's basically
Okay.
And also it could be different opportunities that our allies could come up with. So
right. Okay.
So it's basically he doesn't get to react immediately.
Right. Okay. So so Mermaid kind of does like a haymaker and punches him, and then right after that you do your kind of claw at him. I guess is that what?
Yeah, I do like a back flip type handspring where like my feet claws like scrape up the front of the helmet.
Okay.
Making it annoying to see through.
All right. So So you don't take any blows from him.
Nope.
Now remind me what happens to him. Does he just take a condition?
Yeah. We trade blows, so he takes a condition.
Okay, but you just don't because you picked.
Yeah,
avoid. Okay. All right. So I will. Let's see.
Then he does his condition move.
Oh, okay.
And then there's the opportunity for the allies.
Okay. That must be on this one here. Okay, let me look at this real quick. Sorry. Oh, here we go. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. So he is trying to get away. So he says, "Get them!" And he kind of shouts, and the soldiers try to get between you guys and Frostbite. So he has clearly, lost the advantage here. So he is trying to escape. So you've essentially beaten him back, but he still has these soldiers that are kind of in between you guys. So, okay. So the opportunity is that he is now a little bit far away from his soldiers. So you might have a chance to get him by himself if for some reason you wanted to do that without engaging the soldiers. So what do you guys think? Who wants to jump in?
I think Enki would see a situation there and would use her Hammer of Eden staff to raise a wall of earth between him and his soldiers.
Okay. All right. So that sounds like Unleash.
Powers.
Yeah, let's go with Unleash.
Okay, so that's plus freak.
Freaky.
Let's try this again. Hopefully I roll better this time. That's much better. Okay, so that is a 10.
All right. Cool.
So unleash my powers.
It happens.
Yeah, it pretty much happens. So now he is
Yep.
separated from his followers by just basically the ground rises up between him and them.
Yeah. So the stage is all wrecked now because there's all this. The wood is all split and stuff with this thing that comes up out of the ground, and yeah. So you guys can't even see him now. He's like behind this wall, but you don't know what's back there. It's just the backstage, so there might be a way for him to escape back there. You don't know, but he certainly at this point can't do anything to any of you because he'd have to go around this wall, which would take time. So the soldiers are still there. So Cluster, we'll say you've gotten yourself back together.
Okay.
You can help Enki. Enki's gotten up, obviously. So actually, why don't we switch to Latria? What are you doing, Latria? Because you were kind of helping with this whole fight up there. So what do you want to do?
Let's see.
Maybe useful to establish like who's on what side of the wall, because that's maybe not clear.
Well, I'm envisioning that everyone else is on your guy's side of the wall, and then he's on the other side.
Okay.
Is that what you intended?
I'd more just been like intending to separate him from his soldiers, and then maybe people would fall on either side of that, depending. But I guess I don't know what the exact.
Well, so he
was running away and just
Yeah.
using his soldiers to delay us.
Right. So if the soldiers, I'm imagining, are starting to surround Mermaid and Sable. So kind of on the other back side of the stage.
I've just blocked him from coming back into the picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he can't affect you guys right now, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
He might still escape, which maybe you can prevent. But
don't worry, I'll still yell at you later for this.
So does Latria want to do anything with these soldiers, or you've also got these people running all over the place that could potentially be causing problems too? They're still trying to escape.
Yeah, I think I've noticed now from my teammates that they have been a bit of a trouble. So I'm going to awe them into silence, the people around me.
Ooh.
Just so they could just chill, okay? Because I'm a bit annoyed. I got a bit of confidence by helping Sable, but just like they've trampled my friends. I've hit some of them. Sorry, but I'm gonna spend my last burn to use worship. So spend one burn to awe an audience into silence, respect, and attention when I unleash my powers. So I still have to roll to unleash my powers.
Yeah. Yep. So let's do that. That uses your freak, which you're actually good at.
Oh well, that's a 14.
Okay. I think you did it. Okay. Yeah. So you can reach out with your telepathy and try to like calm people down. Is that what you're kind of trying to do? Is that the idea?
And because I'm dealing with a lot of religious bullshit, it's very much a voice of God, fear not sort of voice.
Oh, and they'll look up. Oh my god. Yeah. So they're all like flipped out and at least they're stopped. They're not running chaotically around anymore, right? Like they're kind of slowed down and they're looking at each other, looking up, and trying to figure out what's happening and where this is coming from. So, yeah, definitely successful there. Okay, so that threat is actually pretty much taken care of unless something changes. So you think you can probably maintain this for the moment and keep them from trampling anybody else. All right, so let's go to Cluster, who has gotten himself back together. What's Cluster want to do?
Cluster is going to just kind of start reaching towards the guys with weapons and trying to disarm them if possible.
Okay. So are you using your abilities to do that, or are you just physically just grabbing something?
I think I'm pretty much just trying to just grab them, but he's like stretching out.
Okay.
To whatever's closest.
Okay. So I think you can do that without like making a roll, but I think what you're trying to do is directly engage because one of your options is to take something, and that sounds like what you're trying to do.
Sounds good.
So why don't we have you do that?
Engage roll plus danger.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's a 3. So.
Okay. Well, mark potential. Okay. So let's see. All right. So the security storms in, and again, unfortunately, you are knocked down by the security because they're just like So they run in. You do notice, by the way, that embedded with the security are a couple of Aegis agents. They're dressed in like their power armor and stuff. So they clearly must have at least been thinking maybe there was a chance something like this might happen. So they're somewhat prepared. So anyway, so they barge in, and they start like shooting at the guards, or not the guards, the soldiers that came in with frostbite. So pew pew pew. So there's some shooting going on. But anyway, so you're knocked to the ground again, and yeah. So I'm gonna give you another condition.
Yeah, take a powerful blow.
Oh yeah, let's do that. That sounds good. Yeah, let's do that. So roll +1 because you currently have 1 condition.
And now's when you want to roll low.
Yeah.
You muted there?
So I bet anything this will be a 12.
I hope not.
Hey, no, it's a 5. So
Okay, so good.
All right, mark potential.
Mark potential. You stand strong. So you're kind of knocked aside, but you're able to kind of somewhat stand your ground, and you're not harmed any further. So good. Okay. All right. So up on the stage, we've got Sable. Now, Latra, did you stay down with the crowd? It sounded like you did, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Latra is still the only one up there. Or I'm sorry, Sable's the only one up there with Mermaid and these 4 soldiers. So what do you think, Sable?
And Mermaid's separated by the wall, right?
No, you and Mermaid were together. And then,
Mermaid, no, Frostbite.
Yeah.
And the soldiers, and these are just
They're
thugs.
mooks, but they do have ice guns.
Yell at Enki. Why did you just help him escape?
I'm keeping away from Mermaid.
We had it handled.
Didn't look like it from here.
I'm calling you. I think I'm calling you a danger.
So,
Are you okay? Are you provoking?
No. I have influence over them.
Oh, okay.
All right. With someone when someone with influence over you tells you who you are, how the world works, they can accept or reject.
Right. Yeah. So what do you think, Inky?
I think so. This is a tricky thing because like part of this was the influence of the afraid condition. So like I was trying to separate this guy from me as well as from the crowd. So I think I would probably accept it.
All right.
And like sort of realize that I was acting in the fear of the moment.
Okay.
So yeah, you raise your danger up and your savior down.
Okay, and
I think I'm supposed to.
No, because I'm telling him what he is, or she, or they.
Yeah. Okay, so danger up and savior down, is that?
It says the GM will adjust your labels accordingly, but
Right. Yeah.
I am saying you're being more of a villain than a hero. So,
What was your recommendation? Was it
the danger up and savior down?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
But yeah, like that's when like I was like, you and Mermaid can handle these goons now, and so I've got to like rush and climb up the wall and pounce after Frostbite.
Is that what you're gonna do?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. All right. So So you're gonna go over this wall, which isn't hard to do. You will need to do it quickly though to get him before he gets away, if that's what he's truly doing. So think how we do that. Directly engage. Yes.
Unleashing my power. To do it quickly. I'm trying to overcome an obstacle, basically. Or
yeah, we can use. So we can say that your super speed and dexterity would be your powers, right? So you can unleash those. Let's do that.
True. But unless you're saying getting over the wall is easy, and then it's just about fighting Frostbite.
No, I mean that'll be later. I think if you catch up to him.
Okay. Overcome an obstacle. Yep. Let's see. My conditions. Let's do my conditions.
Hopeless is the one that affects this. I think you're okay.
Guilty. Insecure. No. Okay. Roll +1. Too many windows.
I've been periodically checking those because I forget which conditions do what, so I have to check.
All right. There's I got an 8 total.
Okay.
So.
So you have to mark a condition or. Well, I know what's going to happen if you do the or. I've already figured it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to mark in conditions.
Okay.
So let's see. No. Angry. Yeah, I'm totally angry. I'm angry at Anki for putting this dumb wall in the way.
Oh, it's Anki. Anki.
Anki.
So as you're trying to scale the wall, you realize it's kind of unstable. It's mostly like soft dirt, kind of some rocks and stuff. It's not held together real well. So as you're trying to climb up, you just kind of lose your traction a little bit, but you do eventually get over it. So when you get to the other side, you see there's the kind of the back proscenium, and then you do not see a frostbite. However, there are some obvious wet footprints. So where he probably walked. So you can kind of see the direction that he went.
Okay.
So let's go back to, I guess, whoever wants to jump in here.
Cluster says, I will help you, Sable, and kind of stretch himself over the wall.
Okay.
And not seeing anybody. I wonder if there's a way I could try and detect him.
Well, you could assess.
Well, you have your alien tech.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's just basically I bullshit something.
Yeah.
It's Star Trek. The world is your oyster.
I'm just gonna do the assess the situation to find out which way, or anything I can find out.
Okay.
Roll plus superior.
So you only have angry marked. I don't think that affects this. So
no, it doesn't. Hey, there we got an 11.
Okay, great. So you get to ask 2 questions off of the list.
All right. How could we best end this quickly?
Okay. So you have 2 options really. If you defeat the soldiers, obviously, then probably Frostbite's going to get away, but the threat is ended because he's probably just going to escape. If you capture Frostbite, the soldiers will surrender. So I think either one of those would solve your problem.
And I guess at this point, what? Yeah, what can I use to find Frostbite?
Well, you can follow the footprints. There are some wet footprints that lead to the backstage area. You have realized that Frostbite emanates this cold field kind of around him, so there's condensation anywhere that he would go. So tracking that shouldn't be too difficult.
Okay. Sable, see the cold, the condensation? Follow that.
All right.
Thanks. Thanks, Cluster. You're a great help.
Okay. Yeah. So Sable, what do you want to do?
Yeah, obviously we're following the wood chips.
Okay.
But, like keeping my nose alert for the smell of the colder body of him.
Okay. All right. So you are
totally streaming this.
Heading backstage. You don't see him in the immediate backstage, but you do know that the backstage. You see some stairs going down. They're all kind of slippery and stuff. I mean, nothing you're going to fall or anything, but you can tell that's where he went. And then out to this area that adjoins the rest of the aquarium. And so you kind of follow. Now, let's see. Cluster, are you following Sable?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So you turn the corner around. You're kind of heading back towards the main part of the aquarium. You still see these footprints, but now it's a little bit harder because there's people around. So you're kind of trying to see where the footprints went. And Sable, you see a throng of your excited fans standing near this entrance where you just came out of.
Okay.
They are all excited to see you, and they want to get your autograph and get pictures with you.
Yeah, well, that can wait because as I'm gonna shout, get out of the way! We're chasing a supervillain, and we don't want you to get hurt.
Oh no! Yeah, so it's kind of hard to see like where he's gone. So you're just gonna kind of push the fans out of the way at this point.
Yeah, no, I'll just leap over them.
Okay, yep, you can certainly do that.
Easy.
And they're like, no, come back. All right.
Like I'm tracking him. Tracking him's easy. We've already done that with the freak roll. So
yeah, yep. All right. So let me switch back to the inside, folks. So Enki and Latria, you are still inside the auditorium. What do you guys want to do? There's these soldiers there. They're kind of looking at each other a little bit because their leader is gone. But they can still attack. And of course, Mermaid is still trying to deal with them.
I think I'm kind of like Latria's kind of like busy. She is trying to keep kind of her hold on the crowd, and also she's trying to fight the urge to just apologize profusely to the people she's hit, and I don't know what's Enki feeling after being shouted at.
Extremely frustrated. Yeah, so like Enki is probably just like, very like bodily displaying their emotions. Like it's just like, like can't do anything right, and then just like waves the hammer and probably tries to do some spell or another with it.
Okay.
If we're looking for a specific effect, probably channeling Earth again, just because that's what they were channeling before, and try and just like make pillars of Earth rise up and strike the soldiers.
Okay. All right. So they will probably see you as a threat when you do that. So why don't we have you engage with them? Because they'll probably try to shoot back at you if you do that.
Okay. That's going to be plus danger, which is currently a flat 0 because I've got +2 and afraid.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So that is a 7.
Okay. So you trade blows. So and you're gonna pick one off this list.
With this, I'm probably taking just to resist or avoid their blows for the pick one.
Okay. All right. Cool. So so what is it? So you're making these pillars. All right. So you make these pillars pop out of the ground through the stage, wrecking the stage some more, and you knock 2 of these soldiers on their butts. Mm-hmm. So they are effectively knocked out. So there's only 2 left to deal with. Okay. So good. All right. All right. So let's go back to Cluster and Sable then. Unless there's anything else, Latria, you wanted to do. You're just kind of maintaining your hold on the crowd. Or do you want to try to take out the other soldiers?
I think no. I think yeah. I think I see Enki's frustrations. Like, all right, let's just end this quickly.
Okay.
And just like, and basically, kind of like once you take out the other soldiers, I'm kind of like, just for a moment, it almost like a, all right, excuse me for a moment, and turn to the soldiers and just like, kind of try to fling them back, on to the wall that Enki made to knock them out.
Okay.
So that's directly engaging them.
Yeah, sounds like it. Yep.
Yeah. All right, so that's a 6. Can I get some help here?
Well, Enki could potentially help you. Enki's already over there doing stuff, so.
Yeah.
Maybe they're like shooting at you, and Enki throws up like a spell barrier that stops them from distracting you. Maybe be like a fictional justification.
Sure. Okay. So that allows you to spend a team to help. So let's do that.
Yeah,
So
that's
then
up to
that gives you 7. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I take away their consciousness?
Sure.
Mooks,
They're mooks. Yeah, totally. All right. So you
they're just mooks.
So you want to avoid their blows, probably.
Oh yeah, no,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
they're
true,
gonna be
yeah.
knocked out. But I'll pick the. I just wanted to say I could
All right.
to say take away their consciousness, but yeah, no, I'll pick the top.
So
one.
we'll say that so you haven't knocked them out, but they are. Well, actually, you probably will knock them out because they're just mooks anyway. So just resist their blows. You should be good. So, so you like telepathically? Are you doing this, or
No,
you say you're knocking them
telekinetically.
back? That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so this telekinetic wave just kind of throws them back against the wall, and they're knocked out. So all the soldiers are now dispatched. So let's go back to the front. Or the other side. So, Sable and Cluster, you are chasing Frostbite. It's difficult, but you can do it. You kind of follow through, and you notice as you're starting to go out through the aquarium, people have kind of parted. You think the crowd a little bit to kind of let this crazy supervillain through. So it's not hard to track. So he's heading out to the front, out the front entrance of this place.
Yeah, totally just rushing up and pouncing him from behind.
All right, do it.
Yeah, and I'm totally gonna mark hopeless because because there's definitely a crowd. There's so many people.
Yep.
You can engage with superior instead of danger. And it's like, as I'm just like snarling at him, and all right, there's a 7 + 3, so there's a 10+.
All right.
So pick 2. I'm going to gotta look it up. Always gotta look. I want to resist or avoid their blows.
Okay.
And I impress, surprise, or frighten the opposition. I was like tackle into him and like probably slash across his back and maybe like choke him with my tail.
Okay.
It's like you really. What was your plan? Did you really think you would just attack a gathering of superheroes and get away by yourself?
So he's like thrashing around trying to get away from you, and he's struggling. He's he's not as strong as you are, but he's slippery because he's kind of covered in ice.
Right.
So this is kind of a difficult situation. But lucky for you, Aegis is shown up now, and so they are ready to just take care of this guy. So they said, "Get out of the way. We'll take care of this guy." So do you do as they say, or do you stay on top of him?
I'll stay on top of him because my fans are there and taking pictures as I totally pose for them. As like I take the cuffs from Aegis to cuff the guy before like getting up.
Well, no, they have like these guns. They're gonna like zap him.
Yeah, like I pose for a picture for
all right. Yes, totally.
Or getting up because I'm a total brat. You're welcome, by the way.
They have these helmets on, so they have no expression for you to read, but
I can smell it. I can smell how they react.
All right, so they zap him, and he's like, he's stunned, and yeah, so they've taken care of him. So, all right, so you guys actually took care of both threats. So that was good.
Yeah.
So your teachers, so we'll kind of wind down here because it's your teachers are very impressed with you.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Since you said my devoted fans are there, and I have this move about my audience.
Yes.
Do they say how do they react to this whole display? What are they saying about me?
They tell you that they're very excited to see you in action because most of the time they see you doing stuff at school, which is cool, but it's not as cool as seeing you like leap around and slash at some supervillain and do all this cool stuff. So they think that you are just the bravest young superhero ever, and they all want to paint their faces up to look like you, and et cetera, et cetera. So they're all very excited about seeing you.
Okay, yeah, but so I'm asking because I have the one move. Are they telling me anything about myself?
They're telling you that you are brave, but they don't want you to be too brave because you might get yourself hurt.
Are they, mechanically, are they trying to shift my labels?
Let me look at your labels here.
Sounds like maybe Savior +1 would be
Yeah, I would say Savior and Mundane.
Mundane go down, Savior go up.
Yeah. Oh no, Mundane can't go down, can it?
Yeah, it can. -2 is the lowest.
Oh, okay, yeah, then that's
Then I will accept what they tell about me and clear a condition.
Okay.
So
good idea because you have 4.
Yeah, and that's something to always remember. Like, always find ways to try to influence the player characters. And so let's then I can figure out which condition to clear. But thank you.
Oh, cool. FYI, I was trying to let you use your seek help from your audience move down here, but you didn't take
yeah, I saw it, but I'm like, I don't need help from them. I know we already know where to go.
I know, but I like letting people use their cool moves. That's okay. Okay, so let's wrap up real quick here. So to wrap up this scene, your faculty are very happy that you were able to help contain the situation. They will definitely, spend some time reviewing tactically and all this other, stuff that you're probably expecting. But they're very happy in general about that you're able to help contain the crowd stampede and take out these villains, obviously. So, cool. So there's an end of session move, I believe, that we do. So let's talk about that real quick. And I know we didn't have like a full session of like doing stuff, but that's okay. So grow closer to the team. Let's see. So at the end of every session, choose one. All right. So did anybody grow closer to anyone else on the team?
So cluster, did you grow closer to the team, away from the team, or into your own image?
Yeah, that's yeah.
I mostly failed at everything, so.
And it's okay to say none because we just had a short, thing. That's okay too.
Yeah, if anything,
going to be one of the 3.
grew away from the team.
All right, who made you feel detached? Explain why you feel detached. Is it why? Or?
Yeah, explain why you feel
detached. Why? Yeah.
Take influence over you away from another character.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Sable because you put down my contribution when I was trying to help you.
Okay.
No, I didn't. I was nice to you. I was mean to Enki.
All right. So Sable does currently have influence over you, so that goes away. Okay. All right. So same question, you Sable.
Into my own image of myself seems like the most fitting for what she did.
Sure.
She was a brat at times, but like she's like, no, we've got this. We're gonna take this dude down, punk down.
Yeah.
So yeah. Shift one label up and another one down.
Okay.
All right then. Let's see. This is gonna be rough. I'm gonna shift my danger up and my freak down.
Okay. Cool. All right, Enki, same thing.
I think this one should be pretty obvious. I am growing further away from the team. I'm very frustrated with Sable at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
I was trying to help.
Very, very fair. Very fair.
All right, so Sable loses influence over Enki. And Latria.
I think Latria grew into her own image of herself, barring the bit with the chairs. I think she thinks she performed fairly well. She helped Sable out, team up with Mermaid. She got the crowd to calm down. She helped knock out those other 2. She seems to be in control at the moment, which is rare, and that's make her feel like okay, she's on top of things.
Okay,
so. She is going to shift her superior up because again she thinks because she's smart now she controls it, and her freak's actually going down.
Okay, cool. All right, good deal. Okay, so
we didn't get to celebrate.
So for next time, just make sure that if there's anything that we had to skip for time or anything, make sure you go back and fill in any names of anything, anything that came up that would make sense to add to your character keeper. Anyone who hasn't done the class schedule yet, you go ahead and do that part when you get a chance. and we'll continue. One thing too, so the next session, some time will have passed, so all of your conditions will be gone by then. So next session we'll have a full regular session, so you'll have to worry about conditions more. So, all right, cool. So real quick, I know this session was mostly character creation, setting creation stuff, but I wanted to real quick see if we had any roses and thorns from anybody. John, do you have any roses and thorns?
Yeah, I think for a short session, everyone had a pretty good feel for their characters, so that was a rose. And it seems like it'll be an interesting group, so I'm looking forward to more.
Okay, cool. All right, Joe?
Yeah, no, it was some fun character spotlight stuff. Thank you for putting up with my horrible person of a character. Thorn-wise, it's a technical thing, but your volume just keeps fading in and out. Yeah,
I noticed that too. Yeah.
Huh.
So I was like, wait, I can't hear you. Oh, okay. I don't know.
Well, I was muting myself sometimes, but I don't know if that was
it was like you would be talking and the volume would change as you turn your head or something.
Okay.
Maybe like your cable's bad or something. I don't know.
I just got a brand new headset. I hope that's not the case.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'll see what I can do. All right.
Other than that, like during action, sometimes it's just you run PBTA before, so like just like narrating problems and then saying, oh, what do you do, versus like versus asking them what they want to do and then narrating problems. It's like here's all this stuff and what are you doing to what are you dealing with,
Okay. All right, Blaine?
I don't have anything really for this session. It was pretty short. I liked the character interaction we had between Sable and Enki. That was an interesting moment there, where it's just like immediately just like shitting on it, like
you are a bad boy.
Yeah, how dare you just like separate this person off? Like just immediately just go into that character backstory there. So that should be fun to explore the ramifications of that. Future sessions. But I don't have any major thorns aside from, like he said, there's been some sort of audio issue with that, with you just fading out.
Okay. All right, and Leandro?
Sorry. Yeah, like I think my only real thorn is that I just want to skip it to next session and just further interact with everyone else. Really, but we have to get the not admin. It's fairly important, but like we have to get through most of it. That's what I'm mostly looking forward to, because mainly, weirdly enough, everyone had interaction with Sable, and I kind of want one, except for me. I haven't had a chance to interact with her yet.
Okay.
I feel like you didn't have as much screen time as everybody else, perhaps.
No, I feel like I think I don't know. I felt like I had a lot to work with, so that's fine. Like I'm perfectly fine. I know I feel good anyway. Rose's voice, yeah, like it's that's the thing with the start of with the session 1 of everything. It's the best Rose you can probably get, unless unless everything just worked out. I want to get to interact with these characters just a bit more, because they're all really interesting, and I still want to solve this whole how the hell are we all friends together sort of thing.
Yeah, that's the mystery here. Is how does this dynamic actually work instead of just be dysfunctional?
Yep. Okay. And then I guess I'll do mine real quick. I don't think I have any thorns for anybody. I did appreciate you guys. Those of you that were able to do stuff ahead of time was super helpful. And getting a feel for giving, especially since John, kind of needed an idea of what to do with his playbook. It kind of gave him some boundaries in terms of, so here's the ones that are already taken. So that helps him kind of pick the ones that kind of make sense that are left. Everything else I think was good. I did appreciate that you guys had kind of some personalities for your characters that were interesting. And hopefully we can build on that. Going along with the whole school theme, of course, it both adds to and limits to a certain extent the kind of stories that we're going to have. And as long as you're buying into that, I think that's cool. So that's all I have. So I just wanted to thank the players here. I want to thank everybody who is watching our show, and we will have another one next week, part 2. And yeah, so thanks.